on the implications of the rulings that we've seen in many, many years. Democrats don't like that, obviously. Do I think it's a good idea to expand the court to try to balance that? No, I don't. I would keep the current composition of the court as is.
And I do think that that's probably where we are. Would you agree? I think while there are certain members of Congress who are floating this idea, this concept, I can't imagine it happening. Certainly now that the House has gone Republican.
Yes, I believe it comes out of the more progressive element of the Democratic Party if we look at this from a party politics perspective. Yeah. And I don't think there would be wholesale support among Democrats to do that. I think the last nomination that Trump made, while the election was already underway with early voting having started, they thought that was inappropriate. And I think that also informs some of these perspectives, but I don't think it's going to be seriously pursued or happen.
Luke, as always, we appreciate you as our go-to when it comes to matters like this. And it's almost like taking a course. I don't have to pay for the course, but I bring you in, and I learn so much. We appreciate that this year and over the years, and I believe we'll see you on Friday morning at the Stanley.
Yes, and I appreciate all that you do. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Luke Perry from Utica College.
Today, the tech changes that will affect you and your family in the new year. I'm Kim Commando, brought to you by T-Mobile. Their advanced network now goes farther than ever before. Visit T-Mobile.com/55 today. This new year brings artificial intelligence pushing even deeper into all our lives. You won't see it, not directly, but AI will control more of how we search the internet, what stores sell, how doctors diagnose, even hometown physicians. Tesla's troubles will grow. The federal investigation into its autopilot system will lead to heavy fines. There's even an outside chance of an indictment or two, not to mention lawsuits from those injured. The biggest unknown is the Supreme Court. Should the court strike down a law called Section 230 of the 1996 Communications Decency Act, and it should, then Facebook, Twitter, and all of social media will be held directly responsible, just like newspapers and broadcasters, for everything that allows to be posted online. Hey, you can enter to win a $500 gift card at my website right now. That's commando.com/win. As a small business owner or hiring manager, you know that success in 2023 all depends on the team members you surround yourself with. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. With LinkedIn Jobs, you can hire qualified candidates more efficiently by matching open roles with people who have the skills, values, and experiences to help you achieve your goals. LinkedIn Jobs helps you quickly attract qualified candidates to your open roles with targeting tools. They go beyond resume data by using insights from your job post and company. Plus, their 875 million member profiles put your post in front of the most qualified candidates. LinkedIn Jobs makes it easy to screen and rate applicants based on your job qualifications, all on one platform. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus all the leading competitors. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/Kim. That's linkedin.com/Kim to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX.
Okay, Dr. Kalberman is on the line right now. We're going to speak with Dr. Hall as well about this and other information. But there was a grand opening, groundbreaking, if you will, on Saturday over near where the hospital is. Dr. Kalberman, good morning, and thanks for coming on.
Well, good morning, Bill. Nice to be here.
So tell us about, by the way, I have to say, I've heard from people, the new facility over on Sunset is just, I really believe is a great concept of inclusion. And really, the concept that I think we're using for the future, going forward into the future, I think it's a real gem over there.
Well, we certainly appreciate that, Bill. And I have to say, if you spoke with these folks who are living over there, how happy they are, how safe they feel, the fact that they have a life, a family, a social network, they're just so delighted, and we couldn't be happier. In fact, for Thanksgiving and also for Christmas, we have provisions to create a nice family-style holiday get-together for these folks, and they're just it's worked out really, really well. I think the building's attractive. It's I think it fits in the neighborhood very nicely now, and I think most people are happy that this has moved forward.
I've even spoken with people who were against it, As you know, nothing happens in Utica without a fight.
Some kind of opposition.
So, but I, even people that were against it are like, you know what? It's certainly much better than what we had there before, and I think that says a lot for somebody that was very much against it.
Well, it sure does. And, the other thing that folks probably aren't aware of is that, the state, the OPWDD, which is the main disability organization, and HCR, the housing organization, they came to the grand opening. They absolutely loved the concept and told us they thought this was the single best project in the entire state. They were really very complimentary and would like to see more of this type of thing spread around, and have asked us to help do that. So it's very exciting for us, and more importantly, exciting for the people we're helping.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about what happened on Saturday, the groundbreaking.
Well, this has been a sort of a zigzag and a lot of bumps and bruises along the way. But this medical office building had its groundbreaking. It's really a crucial part of the entire medical campus that's being developed down there. I know people don't know the ins and outs of modern healthcare and what's necessary, but a main campus, the main hospital is important. But in the future, to be competitive, to be bringing state-of-the-art physicians, state-of-the-art procedures, modern technology, you have to be nimble, you have to be multifaceted, and having an effective outpatient facility is very, very important. And this is what this is. It's a combination of medical offices. The Central New York Cardiology Group, for those who don't know, that's a 25 provider group that does the vast majority of the cardiology for 4 counties in Central New York. Been around about 40 years. Was approached and asked if we could be the anchor tenants and build out this important building for the health system. And to the credit of the doctors, most of whom prefer to be doctors and not involved in real estate, we had a lot of different choices, but they stepped up and they wanted to be involved in this. It was our chance to get back to the community, to really make a difference and help out in the revitalization of our area. People really were very enthusiastic, and it's not been easy, but this building will really complete, or at least be a big part of the completion of the campus down there.
Speaking with Dr. Kellerman, coming up, we'll talk to Dr. Ken Hall from MVHS. Doc, if you could, there was a point where, again, nothing happens in this town without some bit of controversy, and it looked like there was the potential that possibly a competitor would be trying to grab that property and build there. Can you just talk for just a second about the importance of the entire project and how important it is for MVHS and to be put in the best possible position to be financially successful going forward? How important that is to the community and the success of the hospital?
Well, healthcare is a huge industry going forward. It's highly competitive. It means a lot in terms of the economy, and of course it means a lot in terms of healthcare, attraction of industries, attraction of jobs. This has to be done well. And this is not just a building. It's extremely complicated. It's modern. It houses an ambulatory surgical center, which brings an entire set of issues along with it in terms of regulation, in terms of expertise. This really had to be done well. But most importantly, the health system has to partner with people they're comfortable with. They have to partner with people that understand the business, people that are working with them day in, day out. This wasn't just, hey, can someone build this for us? It's really much, much more complicated than that. I realize that not everybody would understand that, but from the healthcare system's perspective, it was very important to partner with people they trust and people they can work with. And what's really nice about this, and I hope people appreciate this, this is a cooperative effort. These are disparate parties working together. These are private physicians working with the health system. I mean, from my perspective, as a longtime resident, this is exactly what you want to see happen. There was a public investment, and then private investment comes chasing down there to bring money into the area and redevelop it. I don't know the exact numbers, but this building will pay as probably more taxes than every property that was taken down altogether down there.
Well,
so.
that number I have heard, and that is true. There has been a study done on that, and the building alone, there's more than what was being paid in property taxes before. And then the other part of this is, if you can, because we're very selfish in this world, it really benefits the public. It benefits the patient.
Well, it sure does. I mean, having a medical campus, this is part of a very big picture. We're going to be having 220 physician learners, students, and others who are more advanced in their learning career. Down here at the medical center, we're going to have hopefully a research component down there. This is a real sea change. When I think back 20 or 30 years when none of this was thought of, none of it even seemed possible. It was possible that the healthcare system here could have gone the way of the have-nots, which is basically just a way station referring people to bigger areas to get the proper care. That would have been absolutely a disaster. And this is really an important step in changing our area's healthcare system and bringing what we need here.
Dr. Kelberman, thanks for the time and congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. It's exciting. Thanks very much for having us, Bill.
Have a great day.
Yep, thank you. Bye.
Dr. Michael Kelberman.
I never write reviews, but Navage is so amazing, I had to leave one. Nothing's ever cleared out my sinuses as well. I'm blown away by how Navage works. That's a review from Carrie, and it's one of over 100,000 online testimonials praising Navage. I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I've talked about flushing out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs. How Navage's powered suction can help you breathe better, and how your nose is the body's air filter, and Navage will clean it out. But don't take my word for it. What do people like Chad say, who wrote, Navage has helped clear out my nasal passages every single night. My wife says my snoring has gone way down. Snorefest be gone, unquote. Navage is the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million customers to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
Win the Ultimate Sports Weekend, a trip to Super Bowl 57 in Glendale, Arizona, and 2 tickets to the PGA Phoenix Open in Phoenix. How do you win those tickets? By helping out the Root Farm of Sequoia. It's all part of the Ultimate Sports Weekend. 2 tickets to Super Bowl 57, 2 tickets to the PGA Phoenix Open, and they'll even throw in a $1,000 gift card toward travel and accommodations. Buy your tickets now for the Ultimate Sports Weekend raffle. Tickets are $100 a person. Only 2,500 tickets will be sold, so don't delay in buying yours. To purchase a ticket, visit rootfarm.org. Tickets can also be purchased in person at the Root Farm headquarters, located at 2860 King Road, Sequoia, Monday through Friday. Those who purchase tickets must be 18 years or older. The drawing will take place on Monday, January 9th, and live streamed on the Root Farm Facebook page. For more information, visit rootfarm.org. It's the Ultimate Sports Weekend with the Root Farm of Sequoia. Visit rootfarm.org. Visit rootfarm.org.
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX 950 Utica Rome, W295DI Utica Rome, your news, talk, and sports leader, a Town Square media station.
A Monday night football game like no other. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. It ended in the first quarter when a Buffalo Bills player, Damar Hamlin, collapsed moments after tackling a Cincinnati Bengal. The Bills say he suffered cardiac arrest.
His heartbeat was restored on the field, and he was transferred to the UC Medical Center for further testing and treatment. He is currently sedated and listed in critical condition.
Fox's Brooks Singman.
Both teams coming together for an on-field prayer before returning to their locker rooms. The game would be suspended for over an hour before ultimately being postponed as everyone awaited updates on Hamlin's condition.
And there was an outpouring of support for Hamlin, who's just 24 years old, from fans who went to the hospital to players' tweets from around the NFL. The new Congress gets to work today. First order of business in the now Republican-led House, electing a new speaker. Most in the GOP support Kevin McCarthy, but not all. So Fox's Alexandria Hoff says,
if McCarthy doesn't win the gavel on the first ballot, a second will be conducted, something that has not happened in a speaker vote in 100 years. 222 Republicans set to be sworn in today, and the number McCarthy must reach is 218, so he only has 4 to lose.
Well, 5 House Republicans say they'll never vote for McCarthy, and 9 others could join them. If he or someone else doesn't get the votes needed, the House can't conduct business. New members like Congressman-elect Brandon Williams can't even be sworn in, he told Fox.
It's beyond Kevin. It's really about turning our country around, and it's about standing up to Joe Biden.
A police chief is being warned in Breckenridge, Pennsylvania, near Pittsburgh. Justin McIntyre shot and killed during a foot pursuit. Another officer wounded. Then the gunman carjacked a vehicle.
They attempted to stop the vehicle. The vehicle fled. There was a car chase.
Allegheny County Police Superintendent Chris Kern says the gunman then crashed, ran into some woods, and was killed in a gun battle with other officers. Brian Kohberger's due in court today in Pennsylvania, expected to waive extradition to Idaho to face charges in the November murders of 4 University of Idaho students. America's listening to Fox News.
If I could be you.
And you could be me.
For just 1 hour.
If you could find a way.
To get inside.
Each other's mind.
Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel vPro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Mostly cloudy skies, 37 degrees. Good morning. I'm Jeff Manaski. WIBX News Time is 6:03. This news update is brought to you by Mike Carl's year-end clearance sale. Save an additional 50% off student desks. Over 30 to choose. Shop Mike Carl's today at the New Hartford Shopping Center or Destiny USA. Police in Utica continuing their investigation into a shooting that's left 2 people hurt. One of the victims was shot in the abdomen on Seymour Street last night. The other was shot in the head. The names and conditions of those victims has not been released. Anyone who has information on the shooting is asked to contact Utica Police at 315-735-3301. Meanwhile, Utica Police also reportedly involved in a standoff with a man at a home on Linwood Place on Monday afternoon. Police were ultimately able to take one person into custody. Officers were called to the scene in regard to a domestic dispute involving a person with a knife. Police have yet to identify the suspect or any charges. Meanwhile, police in Syracuse also dealt with a standoff on Monday for more than 14 hours. One person was taken into custody. 44-year-old Corey Gray barricaded himself inside of a home yesterday and refused to leave until shortly after midnight. He faces multiple charges, no injuries reported as a result of that incident. A former General Electric power engineer is going to be sentenced today after being convicted of a conspiracy charge. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office, Zaiqing Zhang of Niskayuna worked at GE between 2008 and the summer of 2018. During that time, he and others allegedly conspired to steal the company's secrets involving steam and gas turbine technologies to benefit China. The Times-Union reports prosecutors are requesting Zhang be ordered to serve more than 8 years in prison. His lawyer has asked that he be sentenced to simply probation. Superstars of World Wrestling Entertainment will be bringing their Road to WrestleMania to Syracuse in March. Did you know that, Smitty?
No, I didn't.
You really? I'm surprised. The show is going to be on Saturday, March 4th at the On Center War Memorial. It'll be the only time the company makes a stop in Syracuse in 2023. Among the wrestlers expected to appear, Seth Rollins, Bianca Belair, Bobby Lashley, and Kevin Owens. Tickets are on sale and can be purchased either in person or at the box office through Ticketmaster. WIBX News Time coming up on 6:06. Your Weather Center forecast is brought to you by Cliff's Local Market. They keep you going. A chance of showers between 10 a.m. and noon today, then periods of rain later in the afternoon. A high reaching 42 degrees today. Overnight tonight, periods of rain before 9 p.m., then showers after midnight. We'll have an overnight low of 42 degrees. How about that? Our afternoon high and our overnight low is the same. Wednesday, rain showers mainly afternoon, a high reaching 45 degrees. On Thursday, chance of showers, mostly cloudy, once again with a high of 45. The unseasonably warm weather is continuing here as we start the new year. We have cloudy skies, 37 degrees. WIBX news time is 6:06. All right, this update comes to you from the IBEW 43 local sports desk. Of course, the top story this morning, what happened in the Bills game last night. The Buffalo Bills game with the Bengals suspended in the first quarter after defensive player Damar Hamlin went into cardiac arrest after making a tackle. Hamlin collapsed on the field after a hit during last night's game at Paycor Stadium in Cincinnati. He was taken to a nearby hospital where he was last listed in critical condition. At the time the game was stopped, the Bengals were leading by a score of 7-3. The National Football League has not announced if or when that game will be resumed. An amazing story last night. We'll get more into that in just a couple of minutes here on the show. Elsewhere in the sports world, the Giants are headed to the playoffs. They have one more game left. So far, head coach Brian Daboll not saying if he'll start his starters in the season finale against the Eagles on Sunday. The Bills releasing a statement about Damar Hamlin. The team saying he suffered cardiac arrest after a hit Monday. The statement went on to say that his heartbeat was restored on the field and he was transferred to the UC Medical Center for further testing and treatment. He's currently sedated and listed in critical condition. Again, that game suspended until further notice. A top NFL executive says there will be no further updates at this time on Hamlin. The NFL Executive Vice President of Football Operations, Troy Vincent, spoke with reporters on a conference call Monday night and added that it had never crossed the league's mind to resume the game after Hamlin collapsed on the field. The Miami Dolphins won't be playing quarterback Tua Tagovailoa as they battle to keep their season alive. Miami head coach Mike McDaniel saying Monday there is no timeline for Tua's return as he deals with his second trip to the concussion protocol. The Tennessee Titans naming starting quarterback for their winner-take-all division title matchup game against the Jaguars. Head coach Mike Vrabel says Joshua Dobbs will be the signal caller for the AFC South showdown. The 6-year veteran made his first start last Thursday against the Cowboys when he threw for 232 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Donovan Mitchell joining Elite Company as the Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Chicago Bulls 145-134 in overtime. Mitchell became the 7th player in NBA history to score at least 70 points in a game, finishing with 71 points and 11 assists. And Penn State is celebrating its second-ever Rose Bowl victory and first since 1995. The 11th-ranked Nittany Lions knocked off 8th-ranked Utah 35-21 in the 109th edition of the Rose Bowl game in Pasadena. Sean Clifford threw for 279 yards and 2 touchdowns for Penn State, which ends the season at 11-2. WIBX News Time 6:09. We are back live this morning. It's First News Keeler in the morning on WIBX 950 AM and 106.9 FM.
I studied Spanish in college and never got fluent, but then I tried Babbel.
Want the most effective way to learn another language? In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel's bite-sized lessons will have you learning another language in as little as 3 weeks.
Babbel is all conversation-based, so it gets you speaking quickly about things you actually talk about in the real world.
You'll really see a difference in how you can speak and how conversational you can be in just a few weeks.
Babbel isn't just lessons. You can listen to podcasts, play games, watch videos. You can even take live online classes with a language teacher. There are so many ways to learn with Babbel.
The lessons online and in the app make it easy to learn from pretty much anywhere.
University studies have shown that using Babbel for 15 hours is equivalent to a semester of college Spanish. If you want to learn a new language, there's no better way than Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Win the ultimate sports weekend, a trip to Super Bowl 57 in Glendale, Arizona, and 2 tickets to the PGA Phoenix Open in Phoenix. How do you win those tickets? By helping out the Root Farm of Sequoia. It's all part of the ultimate sports weekend. 2 tickets to Super Bowl 57 2 tickets to the PGA Phoenix Open, and they'll even throw in a $1,000 gift card toward travel and accommodations. Buy your tickets now for the Ultimate Sports Weekend Raffle. Tickets are $100 a person. Only 2,500 tickets will be sold, so don't delay in buying yours. To purchase a ticket, visit rootfarm.org. Tickets can also be purchased in person at the Root Farm headquarters, located at 2860 King Road, Sequoia, Monday through Friday. Those who purchase tickets must be 18 years or older. The drawing will take place on Monday, January 9th, and live streamed on the Root Farm Facebook page. For more information, visit rootfarm.org. It's the Ultimate Sports Weekend with the Root Farm Sequoia. Visit rootfarm.org. Visit rootfarm.org.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
I never write reviews, but Navage is so amazing, I had to leave one. Nothing's ever cleared out my sinuses as well. I'm blown away by how Navage works. That's a review from Carrie, and it's one of over 100,000 online testimonials praising Navage. I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I've talked about flushing out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs. How Navage's powered suction can help you breathe better, and how your nose is the body's air filter, and Navage will clean it out. But don't take my word for it. What do people like Chad say, who wrote, Navage has helped clear out my nasal passages every single night. My wife says my snoring has gone way down. Snorefest be gone, unquote. Navage is the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million customers to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
Individual rates, coverage offerings, and savings may vary. Subject to terms and conditions. Not available in all areas. Actual Pie customer.
The other workers' comp insurance company, they were going to reclassify our business, and then they were going to charge me $50,000.
Meet Natalie, owner of the carpentry shop. Shocked by an unexpected bill, she knew it was time to switch her workers' comp provider. That's when she found Pie Insurance.
When we got the quote back from Pie, it was a sigh of relief. They put us in a policy where we fit.
Is your small business overpaying for workers' comp insurance? See how much you could save at ineedpie.com. Plus, with pay-as-you-go billing, your premium is based on your actual payroll, which means no additional bill if your business grows.
I'm grateful that there's a company out there that's willing to insure us little guys, because every dollar counts.
With Pie Insurance, you get pricing and coverage made for small businesses. What are you waiting for? Ask your agent for Pie, or get a quote in 3 minutes at ineedpie.com. That's ineedpie.com.
Get your home ready for the holidays with Adirondack Home Furniture. With free local delivery, sale prices on in-stock items and special orders, and a knowledgeable staff, your home will be ready for the holidays in no time. Adirondack Home Furniture has a large line of quality, USA-made furniture from top manufacturers. Create your dream home for the holidays and beyond with Adirondack Home Furniture. Entertaining this year? Well, entertain in style with a beautiful top-quality sofa from Smith Brothers Furniture. Looking for a new recliner for that someone on your list? They have a large variety of power flex steel recliners and lift chairs in stock. Stop in today to Adirondack Home Furniture and get your home ready for the holidays. Living rooms, dining rooms, bedrooms, and home office, you'll find everything on your holiday list at Adirondack Home Furniture, Riverside Center in North Utica, or browse our inventory online at AdirondackHomeFurniture.com. Adirondack Home Furniture, helping you get your home ready for the holidays.
Swing into holiday golf savings. Gift a round of golf at 15 of the area's top courses for $75 with the Town Square 2023 Seize the Deal golf card. Yes, that's right. $75 gets you 15 rounds of golf. Some courses include Sleepy Hollow, Oneida Community, Westmoreland, Stonebridge, Cedar Golf, and more. There are a limited number of cards available, so don't delay. Get your $75 Town Square Seize the Deal golf card at seizethedeal.com.
on the Keeler Show today. It's time to read the news and weather. Time to figure out what to say. It's time to turn the channel of the Keeler Show today. Why do we always listen? Keeler's always in the know. It makes me want to call him and tell him where to go. And now let's get things started. Andrew, let's get things started.
It's time to get things started.
On the most sensational, inspirational, celebrational, Keelerational. This is what we call the Keeler Show.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
Well, good morning. Good morning. Wow. What a night last night. We'll be talking about it probably for a long time to come. I don't think we've ever seen anything like what we saw last night on Monday Night Football. In fact, is that all screwed up? You okay? It just looks terrible. Everything is all screwed up. This continues just like our Christmas show.
I dropped my mouse.
The technical difficulties. So, wow. Let me get Davey's take here. How much of that did you watch? I was up all night. I couldn't sleep. It was awful to watch.
I only watched until like 10:15. I fell asleep at the first 7 minutes of the game. Then I woke up, and that's when I got into.
I was actually, when the injury actually happened. First of all, I didn't even think it was an injury.
I know.
It was just a normal play.
Yeah.
But apparently, they're saying he may have had an impact to the chest. Who I don't think anybody knows at this point. Even that didn't look like it was that bad.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, it could have just been something that was building in this guy, and nobody knew it.
Yeah.
But so I was finishing up the dishes my wife left me to do, and as I was doing that, I walked in, and now all of a sudden they're talking, and there's an injury. Then you just see everybody reacting like. I mean, Josh Allen tearing up, Stephon Diggs crying, players crying. It was incredible to watch. And then you're the announcers. That was just, I mean, and to be fair, they're placed in a position where they're not. I mean, they're ready. They have every statistic, every side story there is to talk about, completely prepared. But they were not prepared for what happened last night. And the last person I want to see who's already kind of a downer for me is Joe Buck. And then you put Joe Buck in this situation where he's got to drag on and there's nothing happening. He doesn't know what to do. That was tough to watch.
Look, I think everybody watching never wants to see that happen to anybody.
I mean, you're looking at somebody whose heart stopped, basically, technically died on the field. They were able to bring him back to life, get his heart beating once again. And as of right now, this morning, they're saying he's on a ventilator and is in critical condition.
There have been situations before where an ambulance has been brought onto the field. I guess when they're saying this has never happened before, it's in regard to the CPR?
No, they're saying an ambulance has never been brought on the field. This is not something that you see in NFL. They bring out a 4x4 and they take as quickly as possible. They take the player off the field. They're saying no one last night could remember ever seeing an ambulance on the field.
Boy, I think I can remember ambulances on the field.
I cannot.
So
I thought about it. I was like, and I remember seeing it in high school. Somebody got injured. They bring an ambulance out, but I've never seen it in the NFL. They always have the 4x4s or those golf carts.
Yeah.
And they move very quickly to get the player off. You get the thumbs up. Everybody goes, because we've seen some horrible injuries, right? This is not uncommon to see a horrible injury in the NFL. It's paralyzing.
Yeah, the Bills had a player a few years ago who was paralyzed.
And just destroying the life of that person. But they were able to go on. They were able to play. We have never seen someone die on the field and have the paramedics and the crew, the medical crew for the NFL teams trying to bring the person back to life, and then to watch the reaction of the players. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, that was scary to see the players crying and the look on their face. Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs among them.
Both sides, both teams.
Yeah, it was kind of scary, and you got the impression too that after seeing the looks on their faces, like how do you go out and play that game? Again, never
I was
happened.
as a fan thinking, how am I going to be able to feel the enthusiasm to stay up and watch this game?
Yeah.
As a fan, you were kind of feeling that way.
Instead, you stayed up all night wondering when are they going to play this game now.
I was up all night. I watched well after midnight.
Yeah, I once they went into the locker room, it was like, okay, this is going to be it. And I was a little, everybody's looking for their opportunity. You always got to react right on the spot there. And I thought Scott Van Pelt was like, kind of trying to call out the league, saying, "How dare they wait this long to call the game?" Or who thought that after that happened, they were going to play 5 minutes later? According to you, that's never happened. So they weren't prepared for that.
The NFL said that this morning, the NFL is saying there was never a consideration as to getting back on the field and playing, and there has been no consideration about rescheduling this game. I don't believe either one of those things at all. And it was announced that they were going back into the locker room. Maybe the announcers had it wrong, but we're being told, this is what they said, they're going back into the locker room. Each team will have about 5 minutes to be able to regroup and determine if they want to play this game, is kind of how I think it was worded. And the NFL says that's not true. You're dealing with millions and millions and millions of dollars. How many people were in that stadium last night? 65,000?
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, they're all there. You have probably the largest Monday Night Football audience you've had all season long. It is the premier game of the season, concluding Monday Night Football, in prime time, concluding New Year's weekend. There's so much riding on that. And then, God forbid somebody was like, how are they going to do this? I mean, this is terrible, but as we're sitting here, how this has major playoff implications. What will be done? And then you're being pounded down. Like, how dare you? How dare you bring this up while someone is currently dying? I don't know if these people realize, but there are people dying every second of the day while you're off playing your games.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I mean,
how many people died in a car accident on their way to the game?
That's correct.
We don't stop the game.
Yeah, nor do you normally stop and sit on the side of the road and say, "Can't go to work. This accident looks too bad."
Yeah.
So I understand. I get it. But at the same time, somebody's just asking a question. It wasn't. I didn't tweet out on any of this. But reading some of the tweets, God forbid you did, or if you're wondering what the NFL is going to do, or God forbid you bet a lot of money on this game and you're wondering what happens now.
Yeah, right.
I mean, there are people that probably put a lot of money on. This is a big game. This is playoff. This is like a playoff game.
Yeah.
This may be better than many of the playoff games you're going to see.
Unfortunately, that is true.
And it didn't happen. And God forbid, though, people asked about that. It's like, what kind of a money-mongering, terrible person are you for asking what happens with my bet?
Look, you can't, for those who are outraged that people were like, well, wait a minute, what happened to the game? First of all, again, you can't hype up a game like that and get everybody ready for football on a Monday night. And I don't think most people, look, guys get hurt all the time. Not to that extent. I'm not saying to that extent, but you see guys get injured all the time. So
in some cases, horrible injuries that they won't come back from, and as long as they're carried off on the stretcher, rolled away, the game can go on. But there was a moment there last night where you were like, there's no, just as you were just saying, how do you play now?
Yeah.
How do you go from crying on the field to playing? I don't know how you regroup and do that.
So I think the thing that was really scary for me, I actually, on a personal note, had ordered some food like in the first quarter of the game, and I ran out. So they come back from a commercial break and they go, the ambulance is now on the field. We're going to take another break, and then they go away. And then so I leave the house. So then I pick up the game on the radio in the car. So I missed the part where apparently they were picking up the stretcher to put into the ambulance.
And then they put it back down.
Put it back down
His
and
heart
administered
stopped.
CPR. That was like unbelievably terrifying. And once I heard that like they had to stop removing him from the field so that they could perform a life-saving procedure on him or, service.
Just hearing you talk about it gives me chills.
I was like, okay, well, then there's no way they're probably playing this game again. And you're right. They said, again, they're being handed flashcards. This was unprecedented. I don't expect anybody to be an expert and to be able to easily transition from one thing to the next. But so then the ambulance leaves the field, and they're like, all right, they're going to give each teams 5 minutes, and they're going to gather on the sidelines to I forget what he said, if he said loosen up or get ready, regroup, something like that. And Troy Aikman says, well, I don't see anybody on the field stretching or running around. And that was when the Bengals head coach ran over to the other side. McDermott was talking to the officials. You saw the Bengals coach join the mix, and McDermott put his hand over his mouth. You couldn't see what he was saying. But as he put it down, you could see him say, locker room, locker room, locker room. And then they all ran off the field, and you got the impression you weren't going to see football
did you
again.
see did you see the NFL rep? She was speaking with both coaches in the tunnel. That's when we kind of knew that it was going to be all over. And they're on the phone. They must have been on the phone with New York, and that's when the decision was made. Listen, we just can't play. We can't play.
Again, think of how unprecedented this is. They have to get a person to go get the coaches together on a third-party cell phone so he can talk to them. This isn't like I've got a headset with a link to New York. Or
this was unprecedented, and boy, I do have some audio. In case you're wondering, and obviously this is all over the news. Bills safety Damar Hamlin in critical condition after collapsing on the field during Monday Night Football. Literally, they were putting him in the ambulance, and they put the stretcher back on the ground and began performing CPR. If you saw the hit, it was really it was not anything spectacular. It just seemed like a normal, everyday football play. He got right up very quickly,
popped right up, and then boom, went down,
and then went backwards down.
And it looked like my first, again, with football, you always hear about concussions. So I'm thinking to myself, boy, he must have got a concussion. And then I watched the play, and I go, well, he didn't really.
It was nothing.
It was really nothing. And then he popped up, and my secondary concern was when he fainted or passed out, his head hit the turf hard, and I'm like, well, that can't be good for his brain either. But and matter of fact, it was Hauk. We were messaging during the game last night, and he said he's seen car accidents where you wouldn't think it, but just the force rips or tears something in the chest, and then all of a sudden you got a real heart issue. And I'm speculating, but it seems like
what they were describing is that there is a condition that is rare, and I will talk to Dr. Hall coming up about it in a little while. But where impact to the chest at the point where the heart is if hit just right, can cause a condition where you have a massive heart attack and your heart stops. And it's rare, but the doctors that this was after midnight. They had a doctor on, I don't know, like MSNBC. It was amazing because everybody went to this.
Yeah.
This became breaking news. All the cable networks went to live coverage, and but said that the heart will just stop. Now, is that what happened? We still don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that you'll ever know. Here's some audio.
This is where Joe Burrow is so good. And now another Bills player is down. Damar Hamlin is the one who was in on that stop on T. Higgins. And then he got up and just went right back down to the ground. Well, you can see that the ambulance is out there on the field, and they are intensely working on Damar Hamlin.
The entire Bills team is out on the field right now. Several players are down on their knees. Other players are holding hands, praying. You can just see the worried looks on their faces.
I thought it was something how the players gathered around him as if to prevent the cameras from being able to show the CPR.
Oh, interesting.
And that is how it was described last night. that they were trying to block so that, I mean, think about it. You're sitting in the audience, and this, you're witnessing all of this happen. This I couldn't believe when they came back to so that the game had been temporarily suspended. They came back to the stadium. It was almost like you could hear a pin drop in that place.
Yeah.
That was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, and the way the Cincinnati fans, how respectful they were, it was really something to watch that you'll never forget. I don't know that you'll ever see anything like this again. Former NFL safety Ryan Clark made comments on ESPN. This got a lot of play, and it was very impassioned, talking about this from a player's standpoint.
So many times in this game, we use the cliches. I'm ready to die for this. I'm willing to give my life for this. It's time to go to war. We forget that part of living this dream is putting your life at risk. You know, we got to see a side of football that is extremely ugly. I dealt with this before, and I watched my teammates for days come to my hospital bed and just cry. And now this team has to deal with that, and they have no answers. And so the next time I think that we get upset at our favorite fantasy player, or we're upset that the guy on our team doesn't make the play, and we're saying he's worthless, and we're saying you get to make all this money. These men are putting their lives on the line to live their dream. And Damar Hamlin's dream became a nightmare for not only himself, but his family and his entire team.
So he was injured in a game back in 2007. What was the injury? Was it a neck injury? Anybody know?
I don't remember
what it was, but a bad injury. Here, what was that, Davey?
He's one of the better analysts on ESPN.
I agree. Yeah, he's really good. Here's the crew announcing the game has been postponed.
Here's the statement. Tonight's Buffalo Bills-Cincinnati Bengals game has been postponed after Buffalo Bills' Damar Hamlin collapsed. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell announced Hamlin received immediate medical attention on the field by team and independent medical staff and local paramedics. He was then transported to a local hospital where he is in critical condition. Our thoughts are with Damar and the Buffalo Bills. We will provide more information as it becomes available. The NFL has been in constant communication with the NFL Players Association, which is in agreement with postponing this game.
So that's what went down last night.
So, and again, I'm not, just a factual thing. Earlier this year, the Bills had a player carted off the field on an ambulance. I just did a little looking in some old news headlines. Ambulance takes Bills cornerback Dane Jackson off the field after scary hit. Does anybody remember this? I don't even remember this.
I've never seen an ambulance on the field.
In the second quarter, Bills cornerback Dane Jackson was tackling Titans wide receiver Treylon Burks. This was September of this year.
It shows that it was an ambulance?
But he was inadvertently hit in the head by teammate Tremaine Edmonds. The game was paused, and the ambulance had to be driven onto the field at Highmark Stadium.
Wow. Rob says the girl on ESPN was terrible. I thought they were all kind of terrible, to be honest.
So did I.
It was just awful to watch.
There was almost a scolding of, like, if you came here for football, you came to the wrong place. But again, from a fan perspective, we go there to get away from everything that's serious and burdensome in life. You want to watch some offense. You want to see the Bills, get this win, right? And then when you tune in, you go, what's going on? And everybody looks at you like, I say everybody looks at you, but they're looking at the screen with almost this, I hope you didn't come here for football, because that's not what we're here to talk about. I don't think most people immediately understood the severity of what was going on there.
Yeah, but even that, I mean, it's a I have a message I can read here that I thought was kind of interesting, an interesting take on all of this. I don't think Vegas or regular people care about it. This is kind of like another wrestler died in the ring. The fans may care at least once at the stadium, but I'm not sure about everybody else. I'm not sure in reality. Think about the millions that are made off this game. I'm not sure those people care right now. and then it went on. I was relieved that NFL is took the humanistic approach to this and put people in front of money. Yes, there is light at the end of the tunnel. That was Rick. And football is an industry. It's like losing coal miners with the minefields, and they all get killed. Then they just keep digging, bring in more people, hire more coal miners, and the quest goes on because got to have the coal. I mean, and that's, it is a job, and they're paid very well to do the job, right? It's not like back in the 60s and early 70s where these guys were making no money at all. I mean, they make a lot of money. I just don't think there's any way those players were going back on that field.
Yeah, I agree. And I understand. Again, you can see I'm not criticizing when I say this was a freak accident. Obviously, this isn't typical. This was a freak accident. Again, you and I watch this and go, where did he get hurt? Where was the injury, really? You look at it and you almost don't even know where the injury occurred from. But to see the players crying like that and to see the reaction to a teammate getting CPR on the field,
we don't know that it
was. They were never complaining.
We don't know that it was an injury. I mean, let's be honest here. This could have been something that was going to happen to him if he was on the treadmill.
Right.
I mean, at this point,
it could have been a heart condition that was right.
We don't know that, if it's something on the field that actually caused this whole thing. We'll talk more about it. And take some phone calls if you want, 315-736-0186. I do wonder how do you, and I'm sorry we're going to talk about this. I hope you're not offended. But I am curious at this point, what does the NFL do? How do you handle this when major playoff implications are underway here right now in this game? How do you handle that?
Well,
do you scratch it and say the game doesn't go on? Do you push everything back into the week before? There's that bye week in between the end of the playoffs and the Super Bowl. There's that week in between. Do you push everything back? Is that why that week is there? Because it's not the Pro Bowl anymore.
I think you might see a game played Wednesday or Thursday this week, and
try
the
to squeeze
Bills
it in.
Sunday game get moved to Monday.
How much of that is dependent on what happens to this guy? So I mean, right now we don't know. They're saying that they have normalized his. That's not what I'm looking for. You know what I'm trying to say. But they've stabilized him.
Stabilized, yeah.
But he has been sedated and he is on a ventilator.
Well, the other thing, again, this is happening spur of the moment, and I'm not criticizing, but when you look back at it, Booger McFarland and Schefter were saying, I wouldn't want to play either until I knew my teammate was okay. Well, what if he's in the hospital for 3 weeks? You're not going to play for 3 weeks?
Right.
I just, again, that's
at some point there's got to come some buffer in between.
If he died in a car accident, over the Christmas break, would you not play for the rest of your life?
And stuff like that has happened. There have been horrible things that have happened. So at what point how do they handle it? I don't know.
It was terrible.
Tom is in Utica. Hi, Tom.
Hi, yeah. For 20 years, I was a national championship motorsports promoter in a very dangerous sport, motorcycle drag racing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we never had anybody die at one of our events, but we had many fellas who were injured severely, and we took them to the hospital and kept going. But there was one promoter that had 2 people killed in 2 separate incidents. After the first death, they kept the race going. After the second death, they canceled the race, but only because they discovered that there was a combination of lethal aspects to the racetrack and the weather conditions.
Okay.
There was a crosswind that was blowing people across the track. I would not have canceled the football game.
So you,
I would have
first of all, Tom, if you can just turn your radio down in the background because it's killing me because I'm hearing that pop in here. So you're saying, I'm giving you a chance to get there. You're saying you would not have canceled last night's game.
Now, they should run the event as soon as possible with the score as it is and get it completed.
So okay, so Wednesday for instance.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Tom. Thanks, man.
Yeah, it's I don't know what to say. I'm not surprised, though. This is a change from previous protocol. There have been events before where
I've never seen anything like this before, where somebody basically has died on the field and then it was brought back to life. The players come around. The players' reaction, it had the players' reaction, the players' demeanor. It degraded to the point where you were like, "There's no I don't know how you come back from this."
Right.
I've never seen that before.
Yeah, no, I
and
agree.
That's why I think they move very quickly to get that player off the field. Think about that. You know the very caring NFL. We had no thinking at all about what we were going to do last night. Definitely, we were not going to play. The reason they get the player off the field so quickly is so that this doesn't happen.
Well, see, I disagree. He was on the field for 30 minutes.
No, this guy they couldn't take off the field.
Oh,
in every other injury, the protocol is get him off the field. And please give a thumbs up on your way out. Then it's not just for the players, but for the fans. Yeah. They couldn't get him off the field. And it made for a completely different scenario that I don't know. And the ambulance thing, I didn't realize. I kept saying last night, there's never been an ambulance on the field.
I was watching that thinking to myself, I can think of 5 or 6 times that's happened.
And definitely back in the 70s when that's just what they did, right?
Yeah.
But the thing that is interesting, I don't know that we've ever seen something last so long with the player being cared for and brought back to life on the field, and then the player reaction from both sides. We've never seen it. To my knowledge, I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, the administering CPR on the field, I think, is the first.
How do you come back last night from that? Tanya, I want to completely switch gears here. Over the course of this last week and a half, there's been a lot going on, including we had a machete situation here, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was a machete attack. 3 police officers injured in Times Square in New York City on New Year's Eve. And now the New York subway shooter is now expected in court. Tanya Powers to give us an update on that. Tanya, good morning.
Good morning. And just to be clear, the machete attack was about 8 blocks away from Times Square.
It was okay. All right.
Yeah, it was near it, but it was outside the security.
Well, my guess is
area where
hard to get in. It would be hard to get in because the security getting in there and getting out of there is really tight.
We still need to ban all knives.
Yeah. Well, I don't know where you go with that, but man, things are crazy in New York City. It feels that way, Tanya.
Well, the thing that you're talking about here is that today's court case that we're watching is Frank James. Remember the subway shooting last April?
Yes.
That was April 12th, and where 10 people were shot. The guy threw down the smoke bomb, to obscure, the vision in the train cars on the N train in Brooklyn, and 10 people were shot. It was, very chaotic, very, disturbing. Obviously, the guy got away. There was that, more than 30-hour manhunt for him.
Mm-hmm.
Finally caught him in the East Village here in Manhattan when not only other people who had called in to give tips to the police, but he himself had called the police tip line to, regarding his whereabouts. And he was taken into custody. Now, he was initially had pleaded not guilty. He is expected to change that plea to guilty today.
Okay.
It was an 11-count indictment against him. Of course, that was one for each of the 10 people who were shot, plus a weapons charge. It carries a possible life sentence. The guilty plea for what he is charged with. So we'll have to see how that happens. It's supposed to be this afternoon in Brooklyn.
So this case, though, has been, I think, it seemed instrumental in a series of incidents that occurred, especially in the subway, I feel like, in the last year, where it's just the belief, and forgive me because I have a child in the city, and the rule is don't go on the subway anymore. The subway used to be very safe. It just doesn't feel that way anymore in New York.
Well, I have a child in the city, too. Two of them.
Yeah.
And, it's that may be the perception for a lot of people. I know that, I approach taking the train the same way I always have approached taking the train, just me personally.
Yeah.
You always pay attention to your whereabouts. I mean, you do that wherever, and not just in New York City. There's plenty of other cities that I would feel less safe in, actually, than New York City. But there's, you pay attention to your surroundings. You pay attention to what's going on. You don't just, you should never just be oblivious to what's happening around you, no matter where you are. But it's definitely one of those things that got people's attention, especially because the ridership of the subways, had been so, sparse and so down during the worst of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And they've been trying to get that back up. This did obviously not help. So.
And one other just side note to all of this, when you talk about being aware of your surroundings, one of the biggest things you see today when people are walking on the street, whether it's in New York or really anywhere, wearing their earbuds, and they're either talking on the phone or they're listening to music. You have no idea what's going around you when you can't hear the atmosphere that you're in.
I would also just counter that with don't always assume that there's noise in their ears. Sometimes people wear those, especially in the city, to keep people from talking to them.
Right. Okay.
I think I know somebody who does that. I think her name's Tanya.
It's a very effective tactic. If you don't want to be bothered by other people, just put your AirPods in. You can still hear everything that's going on around you.
Yes.
People think you're busy and you're not listening or you're not hearing them. You're just basically ignoring them. But you can still hear them.
And no one's going to hand you a CD for free and then say, "Can I have $20?"
Yeah.
So there you go.
I have a friend named Tanya who lives in the city. She does that all the time.
She does.
I love it. All right, Tanya, thank you so much. You have a wonderful day.
Sure.
All right, Tanya,
Anytime,
Jay Powers in New York with Fox News. Got a break, and you want to talk about any of this here this morning from last night? Long night, huh? If you stayed up and watched any of this, long night. We'll break and come right back. A Tuesday morning. After the holiday, 6:48 at WIBX.
After 32 years as a Mason, Steve retired right before the holidays, but that career took a toll on his body, and he never slept well. He said he was going to get a new bed, but he and his wife, Angela, never made it in before the holidays. They came into Mattress Express in New Hartford on Commercial Drive next to Red Lobster and selected a Q9 King number bed, flex head. Steve liked his side firm. He was a 40. We elevated his head and feet and put the massage on high. He said he hadn't felt that comfort in years. Angela, who'd been sleeping in a separate bed because Bill couldn't sleep through the night, liked it softer. We set hers on 32, elevated her head a little less, her feet a little higher, and put the massage on low. They said it was perfect. They were thrilled to find out we held over our promotion of $1,000 prepaid Visa card or a 75-inch flat screen TV. Steve got the TV. It was affordable because they qualified and signed up for the 5 years, no interest, no money down. Make that trip today or call 1-800-NEW-BEDS.
Hey listener, welcome to Limu's Karaoke Lounge, where Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need, and the music never stops. Hit it!
There's an emu with a full-time job. His partner's Doug, but Limu's the heartthrob. Grubs and worms, that's what Limu eats. Gotta fuel up to save you money and hit the streets.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Warner Sales and Service. Building relationships, building trust.
Hi, Eric from Warner's here. Winter is coming, and you know better than anyone how important your Bobcat equipment is during this season. We're here to help keep it going during the winter months. From preventative maintenance to major repairs, our service department has you covered. Or maybe it's time to upgrade that older machine to something new. Stop in and see one of our Bobcat specialists. Because we focus our attention only on the Bobcat products, we can help you find just the right machine for the task at hand. So whether it's service or sales or even rentals, stop by our place and let's see if we can solve some of your winter problems. Warner Sales and Service, just off Route 365 between Rome and Verona.
Building relationships, building trust. Warner Sales and Service. Warner's, where quality still counts. At Warner's.
Attorney CPA Joe Cordell.
You hear the phrase a lot this time of year, happy holidays. But holidays are not always happy, particularly for guys grappling with a divorce that they didn't choose. These men need more than the help of a good lawyer. They need the hope and encouragement of a good friend.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's New York attorneys. 518-554-0000. Online at CordellCordell.com. 100 Great Oaks Boulevard, Suite 110, Albany, New York, 12203.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
All right, here's Richard. That game, what's your take on this? That game will never be played. End of story. And last night, they never said anything about an ambulance being on the field. Dozens of times ambulances have been on NFL fields. Well, that's just not true, Richard, because they did say that last night. I watched it.
Yeah.
I saw it. I heard it. That's what they said last night. Now, clearly that's not true. And Jeff had a situation where there was an ambulance on the field at a Buffalo game. But don't tell me they didn't say it. I watched it.
The reason I started looking it up was because as I was watching it, I went, well, that's not true.
Right. You heard it as well.
I heard it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I watched.
No, you didn't hear it. Richard said it was never said.
Now, again, I think what they meant was having CPR administered
They
on the
may
field
have meant
like
that. Yeah. Maybe that's
but
what they were
Schefter
meaning.
was saying this is unprecedented. We've never had this happen before where an ambulance has come onto the field. In that situation, yes, but ambulance has been on the field numerous times in NFL games. The other thing is,
Just for the record, Richard, we're not saying that you're wrong that ambulances have been on the field dozens of times.
Correct.
We're just telling you they said last night that this is unprecedented. Ambulances are never on the field.
Yes.
And maybe that was meant in more of a generalized statement saying it's rare that it happens, but, whatever.
The other thing is, he says they won't play the game. I just don't see that it being a possibility for the NFL. So what? Both teams get a bye or it's a no contest and they just move on in the schedule? I don't see that happening. We've had situations before. I say we, I'm sorry. The NFL has had situations before, even during COVID, where a game was played. Remember they had 1 week a couple of years ago where there was a game on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
You have hurricanes that have hurricanes that have affected. The problem with this, though, is you're so close to the end of the season. It makes it very difficult.
I understand it's tricky. I'll tell you this. If the game was, name me two bum teams. Name me two bum teams, Smitty. The Colts and the Falcons.
Colts and the Rams.
The Colts and the Rams were playing. They would still make this game up. I'm telling you. The fact that it's the Bills and the Bengals, I just don't know how they don't. When they're playing basically for first place.
Right.
They're playing for first. There's no way they don't make that game up.
And the number one seed possibly for the
first
Bills.
Place. That's what I mean. First place for the top seed for the playoffs.
Which means a bye and home field advantage straight through the playoffs. So that's valuable.
Plus,
I don't know how they just walk away from that.
And again, I am not placing these things above someone's life, as some people might try to say that I'm doing.
Piece of garbage.
That's not what I'm saying. I understand the severity here. I'm not saying these things are more important, but I'm just telling you, with TV contracts, tickets sold to that game, travel plans, and the elephant in the room, all the money bet on that game, there's no way they don't play that game.
Well, and to my knowledge, from what I've heard from one person this morning, they haven't even taken an action. Like if you bet on the game, it's in limbo. It's all in limbo right now.
Yes, correct.
Is that is true?
Yes, I put some money on games via DraftKings, and I put in a couple of bets last night for like touchdown combos.
Mm-hmm.
So I had like I can even pull them up here if I can log in. But yeah, they're just. It doesn't say suspended. It doesn't say it's basically in limbo. Like the game is going on right now and my bet is still active.
It doesn't give you the option to cash out. Some of them give you the cash out option.
They do. It usually I'll see that if I bet a couple of games, a parlay with like a couple where I bet a couple of games, it'll give me the option to cash out. But I have like, for instance, Joe Mixon to score a touchdown, Devin Singletary and Stephon Diggs to score a touchdown. It's just sitting there as like an active bet.
No. Wayne says, yes, they kept repeating the ambulance thing over and over again.
Thank you, Wayne.
On TV last night. I have to say, I was up until 1 o'clock, almost 1 o'clock in the morning watching this. So I heard it several times. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying that's what they were saying.
And Adam
And then
Schefter
I'm thinking,
was like,
and then I'm really thinking, God, I don't remember seeing an ambulance. Probably in the 70s I saw it, but I don't remember seeing an ambulance. And then you say it occurred
in September.
At
Buffalo.
At Buffalo. So Jake is in Utica. Hi, Jake.
Good morning, guys. I'm a lot older than you guys are. Anyway, back in the early 60s when the Lions played at Tiger Stadium.
Okay.
Now, I don't know which quarter it was. A player on the Detroit team collapsed.
Mm-hmm.
All right. They were on the field about 10, 15 minutes, the players and coaches and ambulance people. And, well, they took the guy off the field, okay? They took him to the hospital. The game played on. At the end of the game, they announced that the player died of a heart attack on the field.
Wow.
This was back in the early 60s.
Yeah, I was wondering about that, if they were going to get him off the field. I just think that this with I don't know if you saw it last night, Jake, but
I didn't watch the game.
It seemed like the reaction of the players was so bad that I don't know that they could have ever resumed play. I think that played a huge
would have
role.
been hard, right?
Yeah.
So the player's name it happened in 1971. Chuck Hughes, a wide receiver, reminded football fans everywhere of one painful reality: NFL players are human beings. During an ordinary game against the Chicago Bears, Hughes suddenly collapsed on the field in front of a packed stadium. He tragically became the first and only to date NFL player to die on the field, and they played on.
I'm thinking the 60s, all right.
So,
you were close. No, you were close.
Lions player?
Detroit Lions, yes.
Yeah.
I got that right. Okay, it was 70. I'm sorry.
Jake,
I'm thinking it was like 62 or 63. Okay.
That's a good grab, Jake. Thanks, man.
Yeah, because we didn't remember that. I didn't remember that.
Yeah.
All right, Jake, thank you.
All right, have a good day, guys.
You too.
Bye.
Thanks. Mike saying, could the game be recorded as a tie?
Okay, so
the problem is,
if you ask me, yes, but you can't do that to Vegas.
It's 7-3 right now, right? Is that
it was 7-3 Cincy. Each team had one possession. I think that was Cincinnati's second possession after Buffalo got the field goal. But here's my thing: to you and I, right? At the end of the day, are you going to care if the Bills get a tie here and they maintain first place? No.
Well, right.
Right. But to Vegas, how many people bet a tie? If that goes in the record books as a tie, Vegas has got to pay out a tie.
And if you're Kansas City, how do you feel about that?
Right.
Sure. Well, what I'd say to Kansas City is, well, you don't get a chance to touch the ball. We didn't last year either. You piece of garbage.
Oh, that's funny.
I don't know. That's a good question. But
there's no way they don't
the
play
other
this game.
possibility is maneuvering the schedule so that this game plays Wednesday night, and then so this weekend's games get pushed back just a little bit so that you could, play Monday, Tuesday, and then maybe you got to push back the first playoff game. I mean, that would be a lot.
Do you remember they did this during COVID, Smitty, where they had guys, half the team couldn't play?
Yeah, you're right.
Right? So that there was 1 week in the NFL where I'm telling you, there was a game Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
I remember that.
And I think they said it's been played every night. And I remember arguing at the time, they never played a Friday night. And they were going, they've played every single day of the week. And I said, no, they never played a Friday, and I don't think they ever did. But, yeah, they can reschedule games, and they will. You can guarantee these games can be played. What are the odds on that? I want that bet. What are the odds that they play this game?
I think in Vegas you probably could bet on that.
They will.
You should look that up. There's probably a bet there. And I think you're probably right. All right, we'll talk more about it coming up. Dr. Hall on the potential injury. What were we seeing last night? We'll get to it coming up.
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX 950 Utica Rome, W295DI Utica Rome, your news, talk, and sports leader, a Town Square media station.
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. After something millions watched on TV on Monday Night Football.
Bills safety Damar Hamlin briefly stood up on his own after making a tackle before collapsing back onto the turf. An ambulance being brought out onto the field. But before he was rushed off, Hamlin received CPR for several minutes, leaving many players visibly shaken and some of his teammates in tears.
Fox's Brooks Singman. The Buffalo Bills later put out a statement. Hamlin suffered cardiac arrest. He's at a hospital in Cincinnati where some fans fans showed up to show support. Players from around the NFL tweeted their prayers, and the Bengals-Bills game never resumed. No word on what will happen next with that. Actor Jeremy Renner's critical in intensive care after surgery following his New Year's Day snowplow injury at his Reno, Nevada home. A Renner spokesman says the Avengers star had chest and orthopedic injuries. TMZ reports the plow ran over his leg. The new Congress gets started today with Republicans now in charge in the House, and Congressman-elect Derek Van Orden tells Fox.
Listen, if it takes one ballot or 100 ballots, it doesn't matter. We're in it to win it. Kevin McCarthy will be the next Speaker of the House.
McCarthy needs all but 4 Republicans in the slim majority to vote for him to win the job, but 5 say they'll never vote for him. 9 others aren't sure yet, including Congressman Scott Perry, who tells Fox McCarthy's not been responsive to this.
Everybody knows this is the swamp. They call it the uniparty, whatever. Let's make some changes.
People will be paying their last respects to Pope Emeritus Benedict today and tomorrow at the Vatican, where tens of thousands have already gone to see Benedict lying in state. Thursday, his funeral will be presided over by Pope Francis. And soccer fans are saying a final goodbye to the legend Pele at a stadium in Brazil.
A public wake at the team where he spent the majority of a legendary career. Fans joining dignitaries from sport and politics, and of course the star's family in paying last respects.
Só vou sair daqui quando vê-lo.
This admirer said he wouldn't leave until he saw his idol.
That's Jonathan Savage. America's listening to Fox News.
If I could be you.
And you could be me for just 1 hour.
If you could find a way.
To get inside each other's mind.
Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel V Pro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Mostly cloudy skies, 37 degrees. Good morning. I'm Jeff Manaske. WIBX News Time is 7:03. This news update brought to you by the Home Show at Turning Stone, calling all vendors. Showcase your home services business in upstate New York's largest regional home show at the Turning Stone Resort and Casino, February 3rd through 5th. Visit homeshow@turningstone.com. Police in Utica continuing their investigation into a shooting in the city that left 2 people injured. One of the victims was shot in the abdomen on Seymour Street last night. The other reportedly shot in the head. The names and conditions of the victims have not been released. Anyone with information on the shooting is asked to contact Utica Police. Meanwhile, Utica Police also involved in a standoff with a man at a home on Linwood Place on Monday afternoon. Police were ultimately able to take one person into custody. Officers called to the scene in regard to a domestic dispute involving an individual with a knife. Police have yet to identify the suspect or any charges in that case. A former General Electric power engineer will be sentenced today after being convicted on a conspiracy charge. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office, Shosing Zheng of Niskayuna worked at GE between 2008 and the summer of 2018. During that time, he and others conspired to steal the company's secrets involving steam and gas turbine technologies to benefit China. The Times-Union reports prosecutors are requesting Zhang be ordered to serve more than 8 years in prison, while his lawyer has asked that he be sentenced to just probation. The superstars of World Wrestling Entertainment will be bringing their Road to WrestleMania tour to Syracuse in the spring. The show will be held on Saturday, March 4th at the On-Center War Memorial and will be the only time the company makes a stop in Syracuse in 2023. Among the wrestlers expected to be on hand, Seth Rollins, Bianca Belair, and Bobby Lashley. Tickets are on sale. They can also be purchased through Ticketmaster. For only the 4th time in the history of Mega Millions, a jackpot of more than $700 million will be up for grabs this evening. The prize for whoever selects the winning numbers ahead of tonight's drawing will be at least $785 million. There have been over 20 drawings since the jackpot was last claimed on October 14th. The cost of a ticket to play is just $2. The drawing streamed online at megamillions.com. Your WIBX Weather Center forecast calling for the warmer than average temps to continue. We do have a chance of showers late this morning and this afternoon, but otherwise cloudy skies, a high of 42 degrees today. Bill, get this. Periods of rain after midnight tonight, an overnight low of 42. When was the last time the afternoon high and the overnight low were the same?
You know, my son reminded me of this yesterday. We, this year, had something very unique and rare. And I believe he's correct. This is kind of like the ambulance on the field thing. But we experienced a white Christmas and a green New Year's.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Normally, you get both, one or the other, right?
Yeah, and when you guys left the Christmas Eve show, it was a storm, right?
It was unbelievable.
Like whiteout conditions.
It was terrible. It was terrible getting out of there.
Continuing with the forecast, Wednesday, rain showers, mainly afternoon. Still warmer than average. We're looking at a high of 45 Wednesday. Chance of showers Thursday, a high of 45. Friday, chance of showers and a high of 40. Right now, cloudy skies, 37 degrees. WIBX News Time, 7:07.
All right, from the IBEW Local 43 Sports Desk, here we go. It's what everybody's talking about. Bill's safety, Damar Hamlin, collapsing after a hard hit. Was it the hit that caused it? We don't know anything right now, but a scary moment for players, coaches, and fans watching on Monday Night Football. Bill's safety, Damar Hamlin, collapsed on the field after taking a hard hit in a tackle attempt in the first quarter, although it didn't seem to be that hard of a hit. He was seen falling to the ground after the play, and the Buffalo medical team quickly went to work on him on the field, actually performing CPR. His heart had stopped on the field. Former NFL safety Ryan Clark, who was injured back in 2007, had this to say after the incident and during the delay.
So many times in this game, we use the cliches. I'm ready to die for this. I'm willing to give my life for this. It's time to go to war. We forget that part of living this dream is putting your life at risk. You know, we got to see a side of football that is extremely ugly.
We'll talk more about this through the hour. Dr. Kent Hall coming up in a minute, and we'll take your comments as well coming up on all of it. And, of course, the final weekend of NFL football. What does it all mean? How will they handle this game? It's going to be very, very interesting. The Knicks blow out the Suns. The New York Knicks earned their second straight victory after taking down the Phoenix Suns 102-83 at Madison Square Garden last night. The Mets blew out the Spurs for their 12th straight win. 139-103 was the final. Tonight, the Rangers host the Hurricanes, Islanders visit the Canucks, and the Devils visit the Red Wings tomorrow. The Comets are at Toronto tonight. And in college basketball, Syracuse will play at Louisville tonight at 7 p.m. That game is on, is it ESPN?
ESPN2, I believe.
All right.
The Deuce.
That'll be tonight. Couple of comments. You want some of these in here?
Yes.
Got a ton of them on last night. Mike says, my son's friend, first of all, could the game be recorded as a tie? We already talked about that. I guess it's possible. Anything is possible.
Anything's possible, but
it's not going to happen.
I'll give 2-to-1 odds on that. It's not happening.
My son's friend, who's a physician's assistant, said he thinks it was a pre-existing heart condition. It did not seem like it was a hard hit. It didn't seem like, hits are a lot harder. And the way he popped right up, he looked A-okay. And then he went down. Also, a number of years ago, U.S. marathon runner Ryan Shea died during a U.S. marathon trials. I'm not sure that I remember that. The Giants game sack where Thibodeau's ankle celebration was too long, should not be allowed. Pull it up and count how long it took for him to stop, et cetera, et cetera. Okay?
All right, so a couple comments here as well. Johnny and our buddy John in Bridgewater. Terrible injury. Now give the win to Cincinnati and let's move on. John in Rome. The game should have continued. The Yankees went to Thurman Munson's funeral and played a game after that. Again, this is also unprecedented.
On the field.
We are in an unprecedented time now, also, where we look at things differently.
I agree.
We give consideration to people's emotions. If this was 20 years ago, we'd have a final score on last night's game.
Yeah, you may be right there.
FX in New Hartford says professional football players are continually examined to be fit to play. The game is very hard on the body, and they are paid millions of dollars to be their best. Sports medicine for professional athletes is very thorough. This is a unique occurrence. The main cause of heart attacks are coronary artery disease, which is a blocked blood vessel or vessels supplying blood to the heart, or arrhythmia. Both are easily diagnosed by a sports medicine doctor. I do think, and we talked a little bit about this during the break, that there's likely an underlying condition here.
I'm gonna ask Dr. Hall. Can there be a you hear about this stuff happening to someone at 24 years old? But you are correct. He's correct in that today the examinations they do on players to make sure they are physically healthy before they invest millions of dollars in them, pretty intense.
And then Christian Schuyler, her comment here is kind of the vibe I was getting for if you turned into ESPN after the injury. Why are you asking questions about resuming play? Isn't the more important question, why did a top athlete's heart stop?
We already asked that question. Now I'm on to question number 2.
Yes.
Sorry. I mean, I disagree. I mean, you're in the heat of the moment last night. Yes. But we also, I thought it was very interesting, and it might have been Ryan Clark that said this last night. Who's the ball-headed guy? And
Booger McFarland.
No.
Scott Van Pelt.
Van Pelt.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so they went to Van Pelt afterwards.
Yeah.
And I think it was Ryan Clark who said, I feel for you right now because, we're in unprecedented territory. We're not supposed to be, we don't deal with this as players. But here you are with the task of talking football tonight. And you're left with this. And you are completely a fish out of water, and you don't it's hard for you to do this. And it was difficult to watch.
It was brutal. I had to turn it off.
And I understand that last night saying, how can you be talking about what comes next if a game is going to be rescheduled? I get it, but that still is a question that is okay to ask even last night. But not last night. You were getting yelled at for asking that question last night.
Can I ask to those who feel that way?
But this morning, come on, at this point we know what happened. When is it too early? When is it okay to ask the question?
If you still feel that way this morning, should they just cancel the season then? Should we just the Bengals get the Super Bowl trophy, and we'll see you in the fall of 2023.
Now, and listen, we were just talking about how what do you think caused this? Is it the hit? Was it some sort of a pre-existing condition? I was thinking was there a brain aneurysm? Apparently that didn't happen because his heart stopped. But
I had that thought initially too. When he stood up and he fell, I'm like, God, something ruptured or something, right?
So, but is it the football play that caused it? Or in this case, was this just a rare injury that might have happened during practice, might have happened while he was driving down the road or working out on a treadmill?
Right.
Or was it the hit that caused all of this? I mean, I don't think we know the answer to that right now. But it does make you wonder.
And again, I totally, his health is the utmost concern, and I know fans care about that, and certainly I don't want to see anything happen.
Here's the other thing, and Mike just brought this up.
Okay.
This was the big thing going on Twitter last night.
Okay.
Mike said, if you really want to be a conspiracy theorist, what if it involved COVID and he had myocarditis? Or it involved the vaccine because he is vaccinated.
All right.
The big thing on Twitter last night was he has that he's been vaccinated, and this is what happens to people who are vaccinated.
Okay. Well.
And then the bigger thing that was happening on Twitter was the people that were screaming at the people bringing up the vaccine. Like, you've got to be kidding me. You're bringing your politics into this? And then, no, this isn't politics. This is what happens when you get the vaccine. Don't get the vaccine. I mean, that was going on. I was reading that stuff till wee hours of the morning.
I'm glad I chose to go to bed instead.
I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. We have a line 4, Davey? All right. Jack on line 4. Good morning.
Good morning, Bill. Good morning, Jeff.
Hey, good morning.
2007, we had a 24-year-old at the Boilermaker that passed away.
I was going to mention that too, and I don't want to confuse things, but I think over by not far from Notre Dame, if I'm not mistaken, Burstone Road.
Another good example is the horrible murder that occurred and delayed the start of the Boilermaker. Think about that.
Right.
And the race went on.
Yeah, there's two separate situations.
Yes.
There. Yeah.
Now, if the Boilermaker was all on one field and everybody was watching and that happened, the race would not have gone on. The fact that it started at the starting line, it was away from the race. It was all going on away from the race. While it did cause the delay, and really, when with someone with an injury, people have died during marathons, and when that does happen, I think that it's an isolated incident in a large race, where this was in an isolated arena where everybody was watching. Made it very difficult.
Yes,
Jack, do you think they should have continued play, or they did the right thing?
I don't know. I didn't get to watch it at all, but I heard about it.
Yeah. All right, Jack. Thanks.
Yep, no problem.
Have a great day.
Yes, a 24-year-old. This was in 2007. I believe he said 2008, but this was based on an article. Just a quick Google search here. A 24-year-old marathoner from Brooklyn died of a heart attack after he collapsed during the Boilermaker 15K in upstate New York in Utica on Sunday. This goes back to 2007. Sean O'Neill recently ran in a Mother's Day marathon and took city parks, said it several times a week for 7-mile jogs, his family said. So why this is relevant is this was a young man with a undiagnosed heart condition who was running the Boilermaker and just collapsed and died.
On another note, with the holidays, this is my first time back to talk about a few things. And, of course, just a couple of nights ago, we were watching the ball fall in New York City. And did anybody watch the local New Year's party?
I did not.
Did you watch
I can't watch any of those. I can't watch the national ones, and I didn't even know the local one was televised.
Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah.
Oh, boy, what did I miss?
Did you watch it, Davey?
I watched about 10 minutes of it.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was televised. I would have watched it if I knew it was on.
There was some anchor that was on that I don't think is local, and, man, was she fun to watch. Because it was tough to watch. Did I say fun to watch? Or tough to watch. I'm not sure which. Did I DVR it? I might have a copy of it.
All right. Well, I'm coming over for lunch today.
I might have it here.
Okay.
Oh, Lordy.
Good, Doc. How are you?
Wow. I got a break at 7:18. Listen, we've done our own horrible broadcast. Trust me. I mean, our Christmas show, the first hour, I didn't think we were going to get on the air.
By the way, hats off for that. I was talking to somebody, and I called you the MacGyver of somebody said to me, "You're like the MacGyver of radio," and I said, "No, I'm not. No. Bill with his duct tape and his bubblegum wrapper is the MacGyver of radio."
I don't know how we got that show on the air. Davey, it was something special, wasn't it?
Sure was.
Yeah.
I did it all. Thank you very much.
That's right. Davey is the MacGyver of all radio. Thank you, man. We'll break. And coming up, you know what happened last night? What are we looking at medically here? There's a lot to unravel, and that includes people saying it's the vaccine. It was a hit that occurred that made impact to the heart and the chest. Possibly could it have been something pre-existing? We'll talk about all of it here coming up with Dr. Kent Hall from MVHS on WIBX.
Get your home ready for the holidays with Adirondack Home Furniture. With free local delivery, sale prices on in-stock items and special orders, and a knowledgeable staff, your home will be ready for the holidays in no time. Adirondack Home Furniture has a large line of quality USA-made furniture from top manufacturers. Create your dream home for the holidays and beyond with Adirondack Home Furniture. Entertaining this year? Well, entertain in style with a beautiful top-quality sofa from Smith Brothers Furniture. Looking for a new recliner for that someone on your list? They have a large variety of power flex steel recliners and lift chairs in stock. Stop in today to Adirondack Home Furniture and get your home ready for the holidays. Living rooms, dining rooms, bedrooms, and home office, you'll find everything on your holiday list at Adirondack Home Furniture, Riverside Center in North Utica, or browse our inventory online at AdirondackHomeFurniture.com. Adirondack Home Furniture, helping you get your home ready for the holidays.
I studied Spanish in college and never got fluent, but then I tried Babbel.
Want the most effective way to learn another language? In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel's bite-sized lessons will have you learning another language in as little as 3 weeks.
Babbel is all conversation-based, so it gets you speaking quickly about things you actually talk about in the real world.
You'll really see a difference in how you can speak and how conversational you can be in just a few weeks.
Babbel isn't just lessons. You can listen to podcasts, play games, watch videos. You can even take live online classes with a language teacher. There are so many ways to learn with Babbel.
The lessons online and in the app make it easy to learn from pretty much anywhere.
University studies have shown that using Babbel for 15 hours is equivalent to a semester of college Spanish. If you want to learn a new language, there's no better way than Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Hey, Pete, how's business? It's great. Foot traffic's still way down, but more people are finding me online. Nice. How'd you pull that off? Well, the first thing I did was go to mylocalcustomers.com to see exactly how many searches there were for businesses like mine. So I guess there were a lot? Yeah, there were hundreds of local searches every month. So after I saw that, they helped me position my business online to get in front of those customers. That's awesome. I wonder how many people are searching for my services around here. Well, it's quick and easy to get the answer, plus it's free. Just go to mylocalcustomers.com to find out. If there are a lot of searches, you should definitely get in front of them. If there aren't, no harm, no foul.
Go to mylocalcustomers.com for a free local customer analysis that will show you how many customers are searching online for your type of business. It's quick, easy, and free. Visit mylocalcustomers.com. That's mylocalcustomers.com.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
Couple comments here from Julie. I was watching a Ray Mancini fight back in the 80s when he killed a Korean boxer in the ring, and was also watching when Joe Theismann got a career-ending compound fracture on the field. Horrifying when you're watching stuff like this. And it is that is true, Julie. And it does happen, and it has happened. The sports guys having to talk about last night's incident was like if meteorologist was on and 9/11 took place, and they had to speak about 9/11. It was true. These guys they should have switched over to the news department instead of ESPN, I thought.
Yeah.
Because ESPN, and then you bring in the sports guys, let the news anchors take over at ABC. They should have done that.
Yeah, they should have done something. But again,
because it was
unprecedented.
You're right.
Not prepared
it was
for it.
Tough to watch those guys trying to, and they're depressed. They seem depressed. Like Joe Buck and Troy Aikman were noticeably depressed, and I feel like they didn't know what to do at that point.
Right. In the studio, Susie Colbert was repeatedly, she would start a sentence talking real slow and pause, almost like she was waiting for one of the guys to jump in and say something.
But we shouldn't be talking football.
Yeah, we can't talk football.
Like,
Booger McFarland wouldn't look at the camera.
What are you going to do?
It
You're
puts
on
broadcasters
live
in a
television.
tough situation.
It did, yeah.
It really puts them in a bad spot where they have to say something.
Yeah.
And what do you say? You probably say the wrong things in some situations.
And you want to say something, but you're afraid that if you do say something, you're going to get ripped on for saying it, or who knows, this day and age, you get fired. I'd like to take a look at this, and I know this is conjecture. We are just, there's no way we know what happened, but it would be interesting to see if we could take an ounce of what happened last night and learn from it, because a lot of people out there have children that are in sports and grandchildren who are in sports. So maybe, I don't know, maybe you can learn from a little piece of last night. Obviously, it was a unique tragedy. Dr. Kent Hall on the line right now from MVHS. Doc, good morning.
Good
Good morning. How are you doing this morning?
Good. I mean, you have to know that I'm going to put you in this position, and I apologize in advance. Obviously, as an aside here, we should all consider we have no idea, and all the respect in the world goes to the privacy of the family. You can't imagine what that mom was going through last night.
His family was in the stadium and then on the field.
The mother came down on, and other family members. I mean, you just can't imagine what they went through. But at the same time, you wonder what happened. And what's your take, Doc?
Yeah, so let me preface this a little bit. So I'll tell you, I did my training at the University of Cincinnati Hospital.
Wow.
So, seeing those images of the ambulance pulling up, that's, I lived in Cincinnati for 14 years. So it hit home.
Yeah. I can't imagine that. I'm assuming an amazing hospital just 2 miles from the stadium.
Yeah, so the University of Cincinnati Medical Center is a phenomenal hospital, and I will tell you that the emergency department there is probably one of the top 3 in the country. So it is if you're going to have issues, whether it's cardiac issues, trauma, whatever, that's a good place to go. So, specifically related to this, obviously you're exactly right. We don't know the specifics, and, we don't have a right or reason to know, but I will tell you that in general, what's called blunt cardiac injury, which is presumably what happened here, is a spectrum. So it goes all the way from, what's called a minor myocardial or heart contusion, which is just like having a bruise on any other muscle. But what you have to realize with the heart is that the heart is not just a muscle; it also has an electrical system. And if you bruise the electrical system, then the heart doesn't beat normally. And it can go all the way to, if it is bruised at a specific time in what's called the heart cycle, that it can actually put you into what's called a lethal arrhythmia. In this case, usually it's what's called ventricular fibrillation, which means that the heart doesn't beat; it basically quivers. And because of that, blood doesn't flow, and because of that, it doesn't get to your brain, it doesn't get to the rest of your vital organs unless it is restored. So my understanding from everything that I've read, and admittedly this is all from the media, I don't have any inside knowledge, is that it was recognized very quickly what was going on. CPR was started essentially immediately. And he had a defibrillator placed and had his cardiac rhythm restored within about 3 to 5 minutes. So that is very good. What is going on after that, I really have no information of. I'll be glad to answer specific questions. That may be better than me kind of rambling on about it.
And what I would ask you is, we're talking about medical talk here, and they're saying that they were able to stabilize him, and he is now on a ventilator. That can't be good, I would assume.
So that may be bad, or honestly, it may not be bad. In the first 24 hours, I would expect that they would be on a ventilator anyway, because you don't know what's going to happen, and so you want to provide the highest level of care that you can until you know that they're stable. So being stable in the first 10 minutes or a couple hours doesn't necessarily mean a lot, because you don't know what injury might have occurred that will cause problems in the first 12 hours, 24 hours. Yeah. So usually that's if in 24 hours everything looks good, then they may be able to extubate him then. But again, that's this is all conjecture without knowing exactly the specifics.
And I would wonder, it's probably, or maybe it is not possible with all of the examinations that are done on these players, because we're talking about millions of dollars, that is it possible that this is something underlying that no one knew existed?
So yes, that is certainly a possibility. But to your point, there's a lot of testing that is done now, and especially, I can't remember the name of the basketball player from the Celtics. I think it was in the 80s.
It was the
that
90s.
had an unrecognized cardiac problem that resulted in his
Len Bias?
sudden death.
Len Bias. Yeah.
So since that has occurred and ongoing, there are a lot of medical evaluations, testing, et cetera, that is done. So is it possible that there was an underlying problem? Yes, it's possible. It's not likely.
Okay.
If it was an underlying problem, it would be something that would not be picked up with this battery of tests, which is, again, not likely, but anything is possible. I would say that it's more likely. In this case, it is more likely that what happened was that when he took the hit to the chest that he did, that it happened at a time in his heart cycle, in his heartbeat, that is called a vulnerable period, and during that time, when that happened, that it could actually result in his heart rhythm becoming very irregular.
Okay, and so that is something that could happen to anyone if at the right time and the right hit in the right place.
That's correct. Now I will tell you that this amount of time in the heart cycle is measured in milliseconds. So it is the ultimate in bad luck.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm getting a message here. Well, let me just mention quickly, it was briefly mentioned during the game last night that there was, again, this is all speculation, we don't know for sure, but that it was his heart possibly skipped out of rhythm, which is a phrase I hadn't heard before. But, Doc, that sounds kind of like what you're talking about.
Yeah, people are going to use words that they understand for themselves, and so yes, I would say that we're all speaking the same language. We may be using slightly different words.
Okay.
And the message here this morning from Mayor Blask in Little Falls, he believes the Celtics player was Reggie Lewis. I'm double checking this. Len Bias had a cardiac arrhythmia, and I believe had used cocaine and ultimately died from it. But he did have a cardiac arrhythmia.
That was probably 25 years ago, maybe.
Reggie Lewis was a professional basketball player for the Celtics as well, who I believe collapsed on the court and then later died. Lewis suddenly collapsed April 29, 1993 on the court, remained on the court for several seconds. After he got up, he looked perplexed and dazed. Lewis returned briefly to the game, what was eventually pulled because of dizziness. He left the game after having scored 17 points in 13 minutes. The following day, he checked into a hospital. He underwent a series of tests. And I'm trying to see here. And he ultimately died on July 27 of 1993.
We're talking to Dr. Kent Hall from MVHS. And, of course, if you have not seen what happened last night, it's all over the news. And what a lot of us are talking about today, seeing something completely unprecedented. And I think that one of the things that the doctor on NBC last night I was watching in the wee hours of this morning had said is that this is something that normally this type of injury is more prevalent on an athletic field. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and certainly, I mean, what you have to have is in these types of cases, what you have to have is a blunt injury to the chest at a specific time in the heart cycle.
Right.
Yes, and it is actually obviously in more contact sports. Although basketball, at least when I was growing up, basketball was considered a non-contact sport. I don't know that I would still characterize it as such. But certainly much more, when you think about football or rugby or hockey or things like that. And, one of the reasons the reason that they wear the protective equipment is for that reason, is to protect. And the shoulder pads specifically come down over the chest as a way to protect the chest.
Mm-hmm. One of the ways I saw it described last night, I thought this was interesting, is they said that, basketball is a contact sport, that football is a collision sport. much different and much more physical contact. And we've heard NFL football players. I remember Bill Romanowski having him on the radio, and he described it as being in a car accident every Sunday. And you wake up Monday morning and you're injured and you have so much pain. That's what it was like for him to play in the NFL. And it's incredible when you think about the violent injuries that occur during football. Although this one did not seem all that violent, it just seemed like a normal NFL play. What can we take away? Is there anything you can learn from this, or is this just a fluke, rare situation? It's kind of like I would compare it to maybe its rarity to who was the guy that was the Steve Irwin that was swimming with the stingrays, and just out of he was stung, but stung in the very perfect place, the one spot that could have killed him. He probably swam with stingrays 1,000 times before.
Yeah, so specifically to Steve Irwin, one of the biggest issues for him was not so much that he got stung as that he pulled the barb out.
Right.
Because that is something that we're taught early in our emergency medicine career that you don't do. If you're impaled by something, if you're impaled by something, you leave it in until you can get to a place where it can be in a more controlled area. So
that's a takeaway.
To what can we learn from this? So I think we can learn that as much as we all really enjoy watching football, whether it's at the professional level, the college level, the high school level, it is a rough sport, and this one is more dramatic. But honestly, think about the knee injuries and the broken ribs and things like that occur probably every Sunday and probably occur, every, if not at every high school game, but at a number of them. So football is a tough sport. The other thing that we can learn from it is that, making sure that you are, that the person who is participating in any sport is as ready for that as possible. Now that means conditioning, and it means testing to make sure that they don't have underlying problems that aren't recognized. I'm not saying that every high school student should go through the kind of battery of tests that an NFL player does, but there needs to be what I would call due diligence in it. And then the other thing that I would say is that even with all that, bad things can happen. Now, we minimize the opportunity for them to happen with all these things, but the opportunity never goes to zero.
Right.
And so that's why you've got, ambulances at every game. That's why you've got, medical staffs on both sidelines, so that when things happen that they are prepared for them. And I will tell you, I was actually working in the emergency department at the University of Cincinnati on opening day in 1990 when the home plate umpire suffered a cardiac arrest and was also transported to University Hospital. And that was really something. Unfortunately, he did not survive.
Was that John McSherry?
I don't remember his name, I'll be honest with you.
I just want to say thanks. We received a message from one of our listeners. I believe it was John in Rome, and it was in Cincinnati, opening day 1996. John McSherry, working his 26th season as a Major League umpire, signaled to the second base umpire that he needed to be replaced. Soon after, on the field, he collapsed face first, was rushed to the hospital, was not resuscitated. Wow. He was 51 years old.
51. Doc, one final question, and you don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but unless you feel you should. All over Twitter last night, this became a vaccine issue. This player, safety for the Bills, fully vaccinated, and there are people saying this happened because of the vaccine.
Yeah, no. I'm sorry. I can answer that in one word: no. This is not a vaccine issue. I mean, every player in the NFL has been vaccinated. We know that. Well, 99.9% have been vaccinated. This was a rare event that occurred because of a particular hit at a particular time that caused a cardiac problem. This was not vaccine related.
Dr. Kent Hall, as always, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody. Please have a good day, and please be safe.
Happy New Year as well.
Happy New Year.
Thank you, Doc. Kent Hall from MVHS. I want to keep it going here if we can. Sal is on the line, our go-to umpire. And Sal, were you watching last night, and what are your thoughts?
Well, I turned the TV on at about 9:20 p.m. last night, and as soon as I put ESPN on for the game, I see players walking off. I had no idea what was going on until they started talking about it. But so I'm watching, and the first thing that popped in my head, I actually saw this. What happened last night, I actually saw this in person.
Really?
I'm going back. I'm going back at least 20 years, maybe a little bit longer. I'll say 20. I was at a Syracuse men's football game, and I was on the 50-yard line, maybe 3-4 rows up, so I was pretty close to the field.
Yeah.
And the referee just dropped of a heart attack.
Wow.
And I can actually recall, I can still recall him falling because I was looking for some reason, and he fell. And, I mean, you can hear a pin drop in that dome for 20, 25 minutes. They were doing CPR on him. And I remember, I don't know.
Oh, we lost you, Sal. You
complaining how hot it was in the dome that game. Whether they had anything to do with it, I don't know. But that's the first thing that popped in my head last night when I put the game on.
Right, it reminded you of something you witnessed. Wow.
So, Sal, let me ask you, do you remember this? I don't think you were there, but Dave and Ilian sent something in here, and I vaguely remember this when he mentioned it. Remember there was a boy playing for CBA football a few years ago. He went into cardiac arrest on the field during a game. A doctor in the crowd came out of the stands and helped revive him on the field. Do you remember that a few years ago? That was, I'd say, within the last decade, I want to say that was.
I don't recall that. I don't recall that.
What do you, Sal, from the so these things happen. They happen at all levels. This was unique, though. The reaction of the players, the fact that it was a player, it was such a big night, a big game. What do you think about the way this was handled, and what do you do next?
To be honest, I thought it was handled pretty well.
Yeah.
I think they could have canceled the game a little bit earlier. I think one of the reporters said it took like an hour.
Yeah.
For the NFL to call the game off, but you're putting that situation on a quick notice like that.
Right.
You got to go through all the channels and all the phone calls with the Players Association and Roger Goodell, and everything trickles down. So I thought they handled that well. You guys did bring up the doctor you just interviewed did bring up John McSherry, and I was going to mention that it wasn't with the Reds. I believe it was opening day.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes,
to be
it was.
honest, I Googled it about 2 months ago, and you could see the video. I mean,
Wow.
you see it all.
Yeah.
Heavyset guy, just dropped of a heart attack.
Yeah.
And you guys know I'm an official. I think of stuff like this all the time. When I take the field, I mean, I'm going on my 22nd year in April. It crosses my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest with you. It crosses my mind. We do a lot of games in 90, 95 degree heat.
Yep.
Behind the plate, we got to wear a chest protector, a mask, shin guards, a T-shirt, our umpire shirt. It crosses my mind.
Yep.
And even as a base umpire, okay, I've got drilled. Thank God, only twice in 21 years, I got drilled this year with a baseball. If I didn't turn around, who knows what would happen?
Yeah.
So that it's scary. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about taking a hit to the chest in the perfect place at the perfect time could cause what happened last night. That's according to Dr. Hall. Wow.
Yeah.
When you think about that.
Bill, you mentioned Len Bias. I could be wrong, but I think it was 85 or 86. He got drafted by the Celtics, and then Jeff mentioned how he passed away. I'm pretty sure it was 86, 87.
It was 86.
Summers in that year.
And then the other name we got was Reggie Lewis. I'll just mention here because I did look this up. In the case of Len Bias, he had I apologize here because now I've lost it. He had a cardiac arrhythmia, and in the case of Reggie Lewis, I believe it was called a focal cardiomyopathy. So in the case of Reggie Lewis, he had a situation on the court during a game. Ultimately, he left the game, later sought medical advice, was diagnosed with the focal cardiomyopathy. Another doctor diagnosed it as a different condition. He began training again in the offseason, hoping to make an on-court return, ultimately collapsed on a court during a practice session, an off-season session, and never recovered and died.
Wow.
One of the last things I saw last night before I stopped watching it, who's the stud receiver for the Bills? I'm drawing a blank here.
Stephon Diggs?
Yeah.
Yeah, Diggs. His brother plays for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
He took an Uber to the hospital. They said it was only a 10-minute ride, and the cop at the door would not let him in because the cop had no idea who he was.
Yeah, it was they say it was the reporter from ESPN.
Yeah, there was not from ESPN, but there was a reporter who said, "Listen, it's Diggs. He plays for the Bills."
Yeah.
The cop let him in.
Whoever the reporter was, I was one of the networks I was watching last night. But they let him through. They let him in. It just shows you that. And at one point, Diggs was trying to rally the teams, and at that point, I think they thought they were going to play.
Yeah.
And then everybody just broke down even more. I mean, it is. This is one of those moments in history that if you were watching it, you will remember for the rest of your life. I really believe that.
It's like you said, Bill. It's a collision sport. I'm not shocked. And I hope it never happens. I'm surprised we don't see this more often.
Right.
They interviewed an ex-Jets player, and he said he's got two sons, 11 and 8.
Yeah,
and they asked him if his kids will play football, and he said, "No way."
Yeah, you see,
no way they're not playing football. He said
there are many retired football players who say they do not want their kids to play.
No.
No. All right, we appreciate it, Sal, and stay safe out there. And before you know it, catchers and pitchers will be reporting.
Yep, pretty soon.
Yeah,
and you might even have Manaski in that cafeteria this year with a rule book.
There we go.
He's threatening. He's threatening. He's threatening again. Once again.
Jeff, I'll call you toward the end of February.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks.
Later,
Sal. Thank you.
Goodbye.
I'll just mention, and this is what Dave and Ilian sent to us. Actually, this was as recently as 2018. Melvin Beard was the name of the young player. He played for CBA. It happened in September of 2018. Collapsed on the field. I'm reading a summary of the story here from Syracuse.com. Beard was suffering a cardiac arrest. He was just a few minutes away from death. His heart stopped for about 90 seconds as he lapsed into unconsciousness. 5 medical personnel gathered around him in a hectic race to save his life on the field. Beard was unresponsive, but has a vivid memory from that stretch. He saw his own funeral. Mourners gathered around him. Ultimately, the young man did survive, thank God. And he actually said afterward that because the medical personnel were there, he was grateful that it happened during the football game because he felt like if it happened somewhere else,
there would have been medical
they
people.
wouldn't have been on hand, and he might have passed.
Well, one more on this. Scott in Kirkville. Hi, Scott. Good morning.
Guys, I don't know if you remember the East Carolina-Syracuse game where a referee literally died on the field.
We were
I was at the game.
We were just talking about that. Yeah,
we were talking about that. That was. I mean, everybody thought he just tripped, and I happened to be in the side where I was sitting, and he just collapsed. I said, "Wow!" And all of a sudden, within seconds, they're doing CPR. And, the same scenario happened last night. Now they actually resumed the game, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Well, I think it would be different with with an official. Most of the players don't know the official. The problem you have here is players on both teams knew this player. And clearly, I thought it was interesting to hear the description. that, especially during the season and, really starting and training, preseason training. These guys are together more than they're with their family. And they become very, very close. And for that to happen, it just, to see these grown men who are, the toughest of tough out there on the field, on their knees, crying like children.
Bill, I think that's an interesting point you brought up, because would we be talking about this in terms of, and I say we, there was a lot of, how can you even talk about playing a game? Somebody almost died. If a fan fell out of the stands, they wouldn't have canceled the game.
It's all about optics. Right. It's all about the optics in this case, and in every case. The optics in this case were these players were so distraught out on the field.
Yeah.
There's no way you could go on and bring the audience with you. If this was an incident where he went down, they whooshed him off the field, and the cardiac arrest happened in the ambulance, and they kind of kept it quiet and maybe announced later that it was the game would have gone on and played. It's all about the optics. And there was a point during that last night where you said to yourself, how do you continue?
Right.
And I think I heard it 1,000 times on the broadcast. I don't know how you can continue going forward. And we reached that point, which is different than many other scenarios. I think that's, it's not human life. It's not the human life. It's the human reaction. And do not tell me that's not true, because it is true.
That's interesting.
No, you're right, Bill. But if you were at the game when this happened in East Carolina, the same scenario, you could hear a pin drop. So you're basically hearing everything that's going on in the field, and you know what's going on. And to be honest with you, they didn't make a circle like they did last night.
So you
literally saw this happen.
Yeah.
So from a standpoint, the emotional stuff. You're actually seeing this.
Somebody died.
See this on regular TV now. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you mentioned it. There was a lacrosse player that took the lacrosse ball to the chest. I don't know if it was high school or college. I don't know if that was brought up. That happened maybe 5-6 years ago.
And that's the type of injury that we're talking about that they say could very well be this injury.
Don't they wear a special chest plate now because of that? A Cornell University senior student struck in the chest with a lacrosse ball late in the fourth quarter of the game and ultimately died. George Boiardi. I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Boiardi. Boiardi. 22 years old, Cornell senior and lacrosse player dies after being struck by a ball during the game. If I'm not mistaken, that led to an equipment change where a lot of players wear a chest plate now in lacrosse because of that.
Okay, Scott, we appreciate the input, man. Thank you.
Yep, thanks, guys.
All right. Wow. What it's going to be very interesting to see what announcement is made today. My guess is there will be an announcement, certainly on his condition, and I think there's going to have to be an announcement today on how the NFL proceeds, even though there are people out there saying you can't talk about that now. I think there's going to have to be some sort of a resolution to say, here's how we're moving forward.
There's going to be a huge backlash of criticism no matter what they do.
Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, I want to switch gears a little bit. We'll talk more about this next hour. Howard Potter is back in hitting a brick wall, we're told. He's foiling and getting no assistance and being charged.
Still getting charged.
Still getting charged. You hear the cha-ching going back and forth. That's the old-fashioned cash register. Still being used today.
It's a moneymaker.
It is. It is. So he's, I believe, in studio coming up next on a Tuesday morning here. Hold on. We're back in a second on WIBX.
On behalf of IBEW Local 43 Union Electricians and the NECA Contractors, we are pleased to partner with Syracuse University in providing our members with an opportunity to enhance their education at this great university.
Syracuse University's partnership with the IBEW will provide talented students the opportunity to advance their careers while shaping the future of the electrical trades and the industries they serve.
Central New York's future is bright, and the IBEW Local 43 and NECA will continue to help light, power, and grow Central New York.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to goodrx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
River Hills Properties remains the fastest growing real estate company in central New York. This is Bill Keeler. When my wife and I decided we were selling our home, we chose River Hills Properties for several reasons. One of them because the listing agent is there every time we show the house. That made all the difference in the world. The book, 30 to 100 pages filled with everything about the house, from the furnace, the warranties, everything was there. If you're looking to sell your home, contact Bill and Robin Monjo at River Hills Properties. Nobody sells homes like River Hills. Bonneville, Utica, and Little Falls.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
It's actually very funny when you think about it. Okay. 7:56. A few minutes. Howard Potter is in the studio here. He's a local business owner who ran for the school board. You've become someone who you've foiled a lot.
Yes.
And one of the problems you had is you were being charged. You were told you could receive the FOIL information by email.
Yes.
And instead you're charged, what is it, 25 cents a page?
Yes, 25 cents a page, or they can charge, I believe, what the lowest hourly rate up to 2 hours.
Okay.
So that's where we're at with
what
it.
are your current foils? What are you asking on your current foils?
One is dated back in August 28th, which was a Sunday, so I didn't expect it, any acknowledgement on a Sunday, obviously. But basically asked for, how much total funding did we not use for each year of 2017, 2018, all the way up to 2021, 2022, because when I was running for school board and I was looking at the budgets, I kept noticing from the current information I was getting that there was almost a $10 million difference of expenditures not being used. So it almost looks like you're over budgeting in each one of those columns and never using the funding. So
Okay.
I wanted to learn about that.
And you've not received a FOIL, you've not received the information back?
No, sir.
Okay. What are the other three?
You have another one here. A lot of times when I'm foiling for something, I don't want to say excuse, but reasoning for why it takes so long is because they have multiple record rooms.
Right. You might be asking.
Yeah,
for...
or they have a record room.
Okay.
So I asked, how many locations do we have? The sizes of them, who's operating them, who's overseeing those files.
The record rooms you're talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have nothing on that yet. This goes back to the $4 million.
Do you think there's a record room, or that there are records?
I think there's multiple.
Right. So
Yeah.
maybe there's a filing cabinet where things are stored in one school
Yes.
and at the district and maybe in another school, depending on what you're asking for.
And the reason why I'm asking that information is because is there a better way to create better storage? Because let's face it, we're in the digital age now.
Right.
You could have redundancy on servers, all that, and really start scanning these things and stop eating up space and create more classroom
And
space.
I did notice in one of the foils, the clerk who responded to you, in one case said that you should be more specific. She needed you to be more specific in
Yes.
your foil.
Yeah.
And then the other one was that you are being charged because they have to actually process what they're giving you.
Yes.
They cannot email it to you. And I
Yeah.
don't know what the reason is for that.
Yeah, and there has been once or twice where they did email me a typed up, like I asked for background information on stuff with totals and all that. Well, instead of them giving me the actual pages, they actually took the time, totaled up. But I don't know if all those numbers are correct or not because they did the math.
Right.
So,
Can I just say quickly, I think I understand what you're saying about digital, and you should always have a digital copy, but let's not have them get rid of the originals, because I think if you have
keep
the
originals,
original,
yes.
that's an easy way to fudge something
Yes.
if you do something digitally. I'm just saying for anybody, not
Yes.
specific to the
I'm
school
going to have
district.
I'm going to have you hold for just a second, and we'll go to the other side. We have a news update coming up, and but stand by. We have some comments on what you're looking for, and then there's a fourth foil that you are looking for information on, and we'll let that out coming up in a second as well. Stand by. We'll come right back. News is straight ahead.
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX 950 Utica Rome, W295DI Utica Rome, your news, talk, and sports leader, a Town Square media station.
From playing to praying,
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That was the big shift on Monday Night Football when Buffalo Bill Damar Hamlin collapsed moments after tackling a Cincinnati Bengal and needed CPR. They revived him, and an ambulance drove him off the field to a hospital where fans showed up in support.
It doesn't matter. He's a human being. He's somebody's brother, uncle, son. You know, that's important, and that's all that's important right now.
Hamlin's now in critical condition in a medically induced coma. Some players were in tears, and the game stopped in the first quarter, never resumed. NFL Executive Vice President Troy Vincent.
Either coach, frankly, was talking about resume play. The players weren't.
It's unclear if or when they might play again. The game has NFL playoff implications. The new Congress starts today with the Republican-led House needing to elect a speaker first.
Up until last night and including at this moment, I still can vote for Kevin McCarthy if we can come to an agreement that changes the status quo.
GOP Congressman Scott Perry among conservatives who want changes to the way Republicans lead. 5 other members say they'll never vote for McCarthy.
And with supporters and opponents of McCarthy digging in, it may not be resolved right away. Without a speaker elected, nothing else can get done in the House, including the swearing in of members.
That's Fox's Jared Halper. And they're mourning a murdered police chief in Brackenridge, Pennsylvania, near Pittsburgh. The day after Justin McIntyre was shot, another officer was wounded by a gunman who fled, then crashed a carjacked vehicle, ran, and shot at more officers.
The officers returned fire. The suspect was struck. He was pronounced dead at the scene.
Allegheny County Police Superintendent Chris Kearns. Also in Pennsylvania, Brian Koberger expected to agree in court today to go to Idaho to face charges accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students in November. Missouri could make history today, executing the first transgender woman who transitioned while on death row after being convicted of a 2003 murder. America's listening to Fox News.
If I could be you,
and you could be me for just 1 hour.
If you could find a way
to get inside each other's mind.
Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
When you're an innovative business, every blinking cursor, every blank page is an opportunity. What will you do with it? Will you make something better or create something new? Our Dell Technologies advisors provide you with tools and expertise to do incredible things. Because we believe there's an innovator in all of us. For advice on smart PCs powered by Intel vPro that's built for business, call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL.
Mostly cloudy skies, 36 degrees. Good morning. I'm Jeff Manaske. WIBX News Time is 8:03. This news update is brought to you by the Home Show at Turning Stone, calling all vendors. Showcase your home services business in upstate New York's largest regional home show at the Turning Stone Resort and Casino, February 3rd through the 5th. Visit homeshow@turningstone.com. Utica police continue their investigation into an overnight shooting that left 2 people hurt. One of the victims was shot in the abdomen on Seymour Street last night. The other individual was reportedly shot in the head. The names and the conditions of the victims have not been released. Anyone with information on the shooting is asked to contact Utica police. Meanwhile, Utica cops were also involved in a standoff with a man at a home on Linwood Place on Monday afternoon. Police were ultimately able to take one person into custody. Officers called to the scene in regard to a domestic dispute involving a person with a knife. Police have yet to identify the suspect or any charges. A former power engineer at General Electric in the Albany region is going to be sentenced today after being convicted on a conspiracy charge. The U.S. Attorney's Office says Xiaoxing Zhang of Niskayuna worked at GE between 2008 and the summer of 2018. During that time, he and others conspired to steal the company's secrets involving steam and gas turbine technologies for the benefit of China. The Times-Union reports that prosecutors are requesting Zhang be ordered to serve more than 8 years in prison. His lawyer is asking that he be sentenced to probation. Superstars of World Wrestling Entertainment will be bringing their Road to WrestleMania tour to Syracuse. The show is going to be held on Saturday, March 4th at the On-Center War Memorial. It'll be the only time the wrestling company makes a stop in Syracuse this year. Among those expected to be on hand is Seth Rollins, Bobby Lashley, and Kevin Owens. Tickets available through Ticketmaster. And speaking of tickets, for just the fourth time in history, a $2 Mega Millions ticket could get you over $700 million. The prize for whoever selects the winning numbers ahead of tonight's drawing will be at least $785 million. And again, it's only the fourth time in history that the jackpot has risen above $700 million. Cost of a ticket is $2, and the drawing will be streamed live at megamillions.com. Your WIBX Weather Center forecast calling for rain showers possible between 10 a.m. and noon today, then some periods of rain this afternoon as well, a high reaching 42 degrees. Overnight tonight, periods of rain after midnight, an overnight low of 42 degrees. When was the last time we had an afternoon high and an overnight low that were exactly the same? 42 and 42.
It's really like ominous out there right now.
Is it?
Very gloomy. Looks like the gloom before the storm. I'm sure you've heard that phrase.
Wednesday, showers mainly afternoon, a high reaching 45 degrees. Chance of showers on Thursday. Otherwise, mostly cloudy and a high of 45. If it was March, Keeler would be in shorts this morning. 42 and 45?
I was in shorts this morning, but I thought it would look stupid if I wore them in. But yeah.
Right now, cloudy skies, 36 degrees. WIBX News Time is 8:07.
All right, from the IBEW Local 43 Sports Desk, it is what everybody's talking about last night. The Bills, a game being suspended with the Cincinnati Bengals after a scary moment for players, coaches, and fans, everybody watching Monday Night Football. Damar Hamlin collapsed on the field after taking a hard hit on a tackle attempt in the first quarter, one that didn't seem all that hard really at all. He was seen falling to the ground after the play, and the Bills medical team quickly went to work on the field. At one point, when they were putting him in the ambulance, they had to stop, put him back on the ground, and continue giving CPR because his heart had stopped. The 24-year-old would be loaded onto an ambulance and was transported to a local hospital. The game has been suspended at this point. What happens from here, we have no idea. I would expect to get some news today. Certainly, maybe this morning. Could even be within the hour on his condition. All right, so the Knicks blowing out the Suns yesterday, 102-83 at Madison Square Garden. How about the New Jersey Nets, the Brooklyn Nets, extending their winning streak to 12 games after blowing out the San Antonio Spurs, 139-103. The Nets are now in second place in the Eastern Conference with a record of 25-12. Brooklyn visits the Chicago Bulls tomorrow night. And the Rangers host the Hurricanes tonight. Islanders visit the Canucks tonight. The Devils will play the Red Wings tomorrow. Comets are in Toronto tonight, and this is on ESPN-U, Davey? I think it's U.
2.
I thought 2, but Davey's saying U.
No, Bill called in and said it's on ESPN-U.
You. Okay.
I didn't call in. Oh, not me? Oh, another Bill.
No, it's 2, not you. Not you, it's 2.
It's not me, it's you.
ESPN-U.
That's tonight at 7 p.m., Syracuse at Louisville. Lowville. Or something like that. All right, we'll break and come back here. Lots to talk about, a lot of comments. We'll get into the football thing as we continue here. But first, in the Utica School District, there are a lot of questions out there for Howard Potter. He has done some foiling and feels that, do you feel you're being slighted right now?
Well, I feel like they're just showing a trend of, procrastinating on responding to an actual foil.
Okay, all right.
And, their follow-through.
All right, we're going to follow through on that follow-through. Coming right up. 8:09 at WIBX.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
I studied Spanish in college and never got fluent. But then I tried Babbel.
Want the most effective way to learn another language? In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel's bite-sized lessons will have you learning another language in as little as 3 weeks.
Babbel is all conversation-based, so it gets you speaking quickly about things you actually talk about in the real world.
You'll really see a difference in how you can speak and how conversational you can be in just a few weeks.
Babbel isn't just lessons. You can listen to podcasts, play games, watch videos. You can even take live online classes with a language teacher. There are so many ways to learn with Babbel.
The lessons online and in the app make it easy to learn from pretty much anywhere.
University studies have shown that using Babbel for 15 hours is equivalent to a semester of college Spanish. If you want to learn a new language, there's no better way than Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Make a New Year's resolution that's easy to keep. Help protect your identity and finances with LifeLock Identity Theft Protection. LifeLock detects identity threats you may miss on your own. And if you become a victim, LifeLock will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. But LifeLock by Norton makes it easy to help protect yourself. Join now and save up to 25% off your first year. Go to LifeLock.com. Use promo code NEWS.
I want to tell you about Ricky Z, and if you had a chance to hear him at our Christmas extravaganza at the Stanley Theater, which was something else, Rick is just incredible on the keyboard. And incredible when it comes to their Inspiration Sales event, which is going on, continuing here into 2023 at Steepani Mazda. And they thank everybody as we head into the new year, all of their customers and friends for trusting them with your car buying and servicing needs. It is the ultimate customer buying and leasing experience. I know firsthand. They really, really take care of you. And the vehicles are great vehicles. If you're looking for something that is sporty, if you're looking for luxury, if you're looking for a great deal, it's all there. Incredible new state-of-the-art dealership. It's brand new there. And the service is professional, fast, friendly, and it's a different buying experience. So there you have it. It's the family-owned and operated Steepani Mazda. Sorry, I was having a moment there. Steepani Mazda, family-owned and operated, and a special happy holidays as we head into 2023.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
I had a moment over the holiday where, you had friends and family, everybody's at the house, and somebody brought up something. I forgot what it was, but it's like, you don't know who that person is? And I said, I don't know. And the whole conversation became, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Whoa. You don't know who Mrs. Blank is? And I said, I don't. I honest to God, I don't. I'm worried. Now I feel like they're checking my pulse. They're like, I should have known. And now I'm beginning to second guess myself. Like, should I have known and I don't know? And should I be worried now? Because that's what everybody was making me feel like. And then they told me who the person was, and I'm like, there's no way I would remember that. Right? You know, I'm just not good with names anyway.
Right.
Right, Bob? Come on.
Bob Manaski, been doing the show here with Bill for 9
Me
years.
and Bob have been doing this show for a long time now.
Just that.
Bob and Bill.
Yeah. It's nice that we end that with a good laugh.
Who was the person, by the way? You have to reveal who it was. Who was Mrs. Blank?
No, I can't.
Come on.
I wouldn't. No, because I should have known.
Admission of guilt.
No, really, I wouldn't have, though. I just wouldn't have, because I knew this person by their first name, not their last name.
Right. Since you didn't get to cash in
And,
on your bet from last night's game.
Yeah.
50-50 shot here. One of us won't know who she is. Come on, name her.
Yeah, that's good, Jeff. I like it. And speaking of that, it's true. Like, if you placed a bet, I think you said you have placed a bet, and it's in limbo.
Yes.
Which,
it doesn't say there's no note on my bet that says it was suspended or anything like that.
Now, if the game is canceled, I think they have to return your bet.
I believe so. I believe they do.
Yeah. Although there will be some that could, like, first touchdown scored. Somebody did that, they would have actually already been paid out.
In theory, yes. It's possible. You know, some people are speculating. I don't believe this to be true, but I don't rule anything out, that, like, they'll rule the game a tie and they'll never play the game. If that's the case, I don't think any of the statistics count.
Oh, yeah, boy.
Again, I could be wrong.
Cancels them out.
Yeah.
But there's no chance that they don't play this game. I'm sorry.
Okay, in studio right now is Howard Potter, and he has been foiling. So, okay, what is the fourth foil? Foiling the school district, I should say, Utica School District. And when you were running, you were doing a lot of foiling, and they were not responding to you.
Yeah.
Now they're responding, and you're being charged, and you don't understand why. I would say that the reason they're giving, based on what you sent me and I read, the reason that they're giving is that they have to actually do the research and find this and then present it to you, which they just can't email it to you. It's not like they can look it up and email it to you.
Yeah.
So for that reason, you're being charged. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. Like this next one was a recent concern, which was, asking for information meetings and quotes for the purchase of the $4 million spent in the weapon detection system that Mr. Bruce Karam had approved to purchase for Utica City
Well, I think you
District.
don't even need to foil that, do you? Because from what we've been told is there were no other quotes.
Well, that's exactly it. But they, I guess there was meetings leading up to it. Supposedly that they said they had meetings.
Right.
So one, I'm trying to figure out what the protocol is to allow such a purchase, and then two, create maybe a more refined protocol to make sure that
And I
we can
got to tell
avoid
you,
this.
the acting superintendent was scathingly critical of Mr. Karam in the way that was handled.
Yes. He said it should have not been purchased, and even BOCES didn't recommend
Are you
the purchase.
are you still feeling like the board is not operating properly?
Well, overall, I think the board, because we have new leadership on our board, from the president, vice president, and then we have two newer members that are all on the same page with moving the ball forward, with improving communication, actually, talking to people, getting an acting superintendent that actually educates us during these school board meetings. So in that regard, I think that part's been a lot better, but we still have three on the board that kind of just say no to say no, and then they give a open-ended answer as to why they're saying no. And they're not, you can't look at the public and then have four people on the board explain exactly why they're making certain investments or finding where there was allocated funds that aren't being spent and then redirecting them to where they need to be spent and still say no when you've never questioned budgets or anything in the past. They just years ago.
Well,
they
but
just
you
stamped
have,
yes.
you have a majority that is. So you have the 4-3 majority with basically outvotes them each time.
Yes.
So whatever the item is, it's getting passed.
Yes.
Or not getting passed. But isn't that what elections are for? If you're not pleased with the way that those people are operating, there's an election coming up, and will you run again?
I'm still undecided on if I am going to run only because of the simple fact our business is growing leaps and bounds.
Okay. All right.
And I'm still able to help from the outside.
Okay.
You are, and to follow up on that point. Again, I know you're not sitting here claiming poverty like, I can't afford to pay this foil bill.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying as a possible another avenue or approach to getting this information, which is a great question. If it looks like on the surface that there's a $10 million surplus over the last several years, if you raise the question at a board meeting, especially that question, I wonder if other board members would say, that's a great question. I'd like to know that too. If they get involved in it, I think it avoids any FOIL delays and it avoids any costs, because I think if a board member asks a question on what's the outstanding balance in category A, B, or C, they can get it free of charge and quicker than you would be able to.
Actually, it's a very good question because there's 2 points.
Well, that's why you elect that person.
Yes, and the other fact is, yes, financially, is it strapping me? No, but that's not what the point is about.
Right.
That's why it's a very good question, because if we're sitting here making the statement by New York State that we're 85% funded because most of our parents are in a certain financial bracket, right? How are they going to get this information if they can't afford $20, $50, whatever the case may be? So that kind of excludes them from even having access to those records, especially if it's pertaining to their child in a certain category like special education. We now have a new person for special education, which I thought was a very great, very good move for our school district. But then when you look on the backside of it and you're looking how long it takes, now you're delaying taking care of safety issues, concerns of parents. The school board actually in one of the meetings did address, and I believe it was the superintendent had mentioned that the $10 million discrepancy that I've been talking about several times in past, and basically said there was funds that were being put in different line items, and now they're not overspending because they're pulling money from those budgeted areas and reinvesting them where they should be. He also mentioned about several jobs that were slated to be hired that were never planned to actually be hired before he got there.
You know what? And I'm not poking a hole in what you just said there, but I can just tell you that is a common tactic that you see in government and school districts where they have unfunded positions. They don't plan to hire the fourth janitor, but they put the money on the budget line because if something pops up, they can reach to that money and put it in someplace else. That's a common thing. But I'm not saying it's right.
This is Rick. The records you're asking for might be the wrong records. For each of the years you're interested in, there is a single document that will help him get a quick volume of information. And then goes on to say the information that you're seeking regarding whether or not the budget was spent out or underspent can be found in a single document and can be evaluated in about 5 minutes. And that's for each of the years you're concerned about. So if you knew that exact document, which a board member might be able to help you.
Gotcha.
You would be able to ask and then specifically ask for that document, and that one document would tell you everything you're looking for.
Gotcha. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing about everything with the educational system and foiling. 3 years ago, I didn't know anything about it. I've learned all this by way of people, reaching out to me, educators, let me know.
Look for this document.
Well, or hey, this is the terminology you want to use, because it's no different than business. When you get into business, it doesn't mean you know everything that's going on the first day you open up a storefront.
Sure.
So it's a learning process.
Mike here says, I don't know about you, but I'm still waiting for the tickets for my Lulapola retirement party. Interesting.
The stamp failed.
Yes. Okay. Anything else you want to? Is it worth going to would it be better going to a board member and saying, here are the documents I'd like to know as a taxpayer, as opposed to foiling?
Well, that's a good question. So every time I email the school board clerk with my foils, I also CC all the board members. So I don't know if they have talks with the board clerk on these topics, or if they can get to them all in time.
Well, I also think that once you foil something, a legal process goes into
effect.
Play. So, but if you were to reach out to a board member and say, "Hey, I'm trying to find this.
Yes.
Could you help me with that?"
Yeah, no, I think that's a great way to look at it, because I haven't taken that approach, because I thought everything had to funnel through this process, which is a delayed process at the end of the day.
And maybe it does. They may tell you that.
Yeah.
I may be completely wrong there.
Well, another good point, too, is one of the foils is that I've been asking about is what do we do with all of our equipment, like computers, servers, all that stuff, because I was asking so that way maybe it could be donated back to the community, kids that do need computers and things of that nature, but I haven't gotten a response on that one, because I figured that'd be a good point.
Yeah.
I would say that I know that there is a place out there where you can buy all sorts of used stuff.
Yes.
Whether it be a used
$4 million security
system. Yeah.
I believe that security system is on that.
It can detect a bazooka, but on a knife.
It's on that website. So, all right. Well, listen, your efforts are about the fact that are really precipitated because of your care, the care that you have in the district, and obviously your children go to the district, right?
Yes. My daughter graduated 2 years ago. My wife and I both graduated from the Utica School District. We live a block from Proctor. Our business is in Utica.
Okay.
You know, this is a great city, and we can do even more with it when we back behind our kids and their education.
All right. Okay, Howard, good luck out there.
Thank you.
And we'll break and come back. Coming up, social media being used to target police. Interesting topic. We'll speak with a former NYPD lieutenant from the New York City Police Department, and we'll talk more about the latest information that's out there on that Buffalo Bills player that went down last night. What a night. What an unprecedented action that was taken in that postponed game. But on the line right now is this guy's life. And all we know is that they have his heart beating and that he is on a ventilator at this point. Wow. 8:26 at WIBX.
Get your home ready for the holidays with Adirondack Home Furniture. With free local delivery, sale prices on in-stock items and special orders, and a knowledgeable staff, your home will be ready for the holidays in no time. Adirondack Home Furniture has a large line of quality USA-made furniture from top manufacturers. Create your dream home for the holidays and beyond with Adirondack Home Furniture. Entertaining this year? Well, entertain in style with a beautiful top-quality sofa from Smith Brothers Furniture. Looking for a new recliner for that someone on your list? They have a large variety of power flex steel recliners and lift chairs in stock. Stop in today to Adirondack Home Furniture and get your home ready for the holidays. Living rooms, dining rooms, bedrooms, and home office, you'll find everything on your holiday list at Adirondack Home Furniture, Riverside Center in North Utica, or browse our inventory online at AdirondackHomeFurniture.com. Adirondack Home Furniture, helping you get your home ready for the holidays.
Hey listener, welcome to Limu's Karaoke Lounge, where Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need, and the music never stops. Hit it!
There's an emu with a full-time job. His partner's Doug, but Limu's the heartthrob. Grubs and worms, that's what Limu eats. Gotta fuel up to save you money and hit the streets!
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
I never write reviews, but Navage is so amazing, I had to leave one. Nothing's ever cleared out my sinuses as well. I'm blown away by how Navage works. That's a review from Carrie, and it's one of over 100,000 online testimonials praising Navage. I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I've talked about flushing out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs. How Navage's powered suction can help you breathe better, and how your nose is the body's air filter, and Navage will clean it out. But don't take my word for it. What do people like Chad say, who wrote, Navage has helped clear out my nasal passages every single night. My wife says my snoring has gone way down. Snorefest be gone, unquote. Navage is the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million customers to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, Target, and online. Navage, Navage, clean nose, healthy life.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
WIBX 950 and 1069 FM. This is Keeler.
Hey, the official coffee of the Keeler in the Morning radio program is from Daylight Donuts in New Hartford. Chuck Siddell and everybody over there. Let me tell you, I always talk about how, things that are going on in the world get talked about with customers inside over a cup of coffee, the most delicious coffee, Seattle's best, at Daylight Donuts, or maybe they're having a latte. You have the person who drinks the black coffee, the Seattle's best, and then the wonderful flavored latte. And both of those people, based just on what they drink, have different opinions on things.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Do you think?
It's possible,
yeah. The sweeter the drink, the different the opinion, I believe.
Okay.
But there's going to be a lot of talk about football there today, Daylight Donuts. So if you're looking for good conversation, that's the place. Coffee, espresso, lattes, iced coffee, breakfast sandwiches, fresh bagels, and fresh donuts made every single day at Daylight Donuts in the village of New Hartford.
And I want to, since you mentioned that, I want to say thank you to our audience as always, because they just remember things collectively that we don't remember. I want to say thanks to, there's many, Tom, Dave, Christy, Big Honey, Ed, everybody who messaged in this morning.
Like Mrs. So-and-so's name.
And Mrs. So-and-so is another one.
Yep. They know. I just can't come up with it.
But they were highlighting medical events at medical situations at athletic events here in Central New York that have happened over the past few years.
It's amazing how many have occurred here locally.
I know. Cornell,
yeah.
CBA, Syracuse University.
Yeah. Every week it seems like the same thing. A law enforcement officer is shot at or killed. Police officers are becoming targets in the line of duty, being ambushed and killed. And believe it or not, social media is being used to target police. Lieutenant Joe Cardinale is a retired NYPD lieutenant and is on the line right now. Lieutenant, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Happy New Year.
So, like anything else, your technology is great. It does great things for society. But there are always bad actors out there that use technology. They use something good to do something bad, and that's what we're seeing here.
Absolutely. What you have now is the social platforms have become a necessary evil in some areas, but the extremists use it to their advantage, and we've seen it since all the wokeness and all the defund the police movements. It's just gone by the wayside that nobody holds social media accountable for the extremists. All right, and the FBI can sit there, like the guy from New Year's Eve was on their watch list and everything, but at what point do we stop social media from having these people put certain things out there? Now, where this comes into play is it's called the sunshine laws that, law enforcement has to abide by them through social media to get things posted and to, put things out there. But what law enforcement has done is just sit back and just monitor these things these days, like anybody else, and they pick up on things.
Yeah.
And then we'll see what happens, in 2023 and 2024. So what we need to do is get Congress to hold them accountable from here on in. And if it's not done, this is going to continue to happen. I guarantee you these numbers will continue to grow. They're watching. It's one thing to put police in touch with the public and say, oh, now you can get in touch with the police through Facebook or something. And, for people that have, maybe a hard of hearing or whatever, and they can get in touch that way. They tried this, but it's going to the extreme where they're finding out where police are situated and actually attacking those police and assaulting them in those areas. They know a cop's going to go here, and they'll do it. Years ago, guys, we used to have them call what was called a 1013, a cop in trouble, and they would do that to get cops to congregate in one area and then go and take a cop out in another area. So Now it's just made easier from through social media.
How do you stop that, though, in a world where we have First Amendment rights? We're a free society.
We're a free society to an extent. I mean, this is anarchy at its best.
Right.
All right. This is total disregard for government, the laws, and everything that, America stands for. This is a total disregard. When you empower criminals to do the things they do through the DAs that we have, through the court systems we have, especially here in New York, nobody's aware of it. And, your listeners brought in a lot of medical stuff on the last interviews, and it's true. But unless you put it out there, nobody hears about it. How about this? Under Governor Cuomo at the time and now Governor Hochul, there were 29 convicted cop killers released. Nobody knows about these things because this is what's happening today. It's taking so what we need to do is hold our politicians accountable and hopefully get some trust back in a bipartisan way in Congress to change things around for social media and hold them accountable. If you threaten Facebook and say, you violate this particular law, and if this gets out there and we find out you did not monitor it or did not let the police know, we're going to shut you down. The viable threat of shutting down Facebook or Twitter or YouTube, all right, will have some effects moving forward. So hopefully they can come together with some bipartisan way of doing this because it benefits everybody in America.
Don't you think that, first of all, I think it's difficult because we're talking about, I think we're talking about two different things. And, social media being used to communicate with people in a community can be used in a very positive way. There are always going to be bad actors out there that try to take our freedoms and manipulate them to do something bad. That puts us in a tough position. But I think that's much different than the world that we're living with in New York where, convicted cop killers are being released. Nobody seems to be able to, you can commit a crime 3 or 4 times, and as long as it doesn't hit that certain criteria, you're not going to jail. I mean, we're dealing with the younger, the raise the age issue. Yeah. I mean, that has become a serious problem. I mean, there's so many of these legislative, what I think were meant to be corrections that have turned out to be mistakes that are causing this state to be unsafe. Now, with that said, Lieutenant, don't you think that a message was sent to the governor? She almost got beat by a Republican in a state where that shouldn't happen right now.
Guys, I agree with you on that 100%, but let's be real about this, all right? People are going to use these platforms, as you stated, to their advantage. If you were to use it in your capacity on the air and say something, you'll be held accountable immediately, all right? If I said something as a police officer and I put it out there on social media, it has an immediate effect on me. This doesn't happen down the road to everybody else, down the line. It doesn't happen to everybody else. So you're 100% right. It's a good tool, but when it's used in a bad way, we need to have immediate effects on this, immediate action taken. Not something that's going to take years to turn around or months or weeks. It has to be an immediate effect to make a statement and say you cannot say these things, you cannot do these things. And that's exactly what it boils down to.
All right, interesting stuff. My guess, though, is if we're going to be waiting, we're going to be waiting a long time with the way this legislature seems to be working in New York. Lieutenant, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Anytime.
All right. Lieutenant Joe Cardinal in New York City.
And we were lucky to have him, of course. I think many people would recognize him from many television appearances. He's been on the show with us several times. We certainly appreciate his time, although I don't know when you talk about First Amendment, if somebody says something on social media that's disparaging to police, I don't know that we can or we should be
what he's
those
talking
things
about
down.
is I think they're using YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and that sort of thing to show where police are located, or using it to show, in some cases, because of this full disclosure now, someone who's charged with a crime can find out where the police officer, what the address, their home address is. And I think it's those sorts of things that are being put up as a way to throw it out there so that there may be attacks on these police officers. There's got to be a fine line there between free speech, free expression, and really throwing somebody's name up there in hopes that someone's going to attack them. It's a very difficult gray area, I'm afraid.
Yeah, unfortunately, I do agree with you that it is a fine line, because for the example you gave with where a particular police officer might be patrolling, without social media, you could just text, say, Officer so-and-so is on the corner of Brinkenhoff and Nogay, right?
That's the thing. Or you could make the phone call. I mean, we're not going to get rid of phones,
right?
Because you can make a 911 call, get somebody, the police, to arrive at a certain place where they're going to be ambushed. Right. That's the problem we're dealing with here.
Right. I agree with that. But to the point about doxing,
right?
But the point about doxing, where it's like you're putting up there someone's home address.
Yep.
Maybe there's something they could do with that. But again, that's kind of, I don't want to say it's public information, but if someone published my home address, I don't know that I could do anything to them. If they were like, that Manaski's horrible and I hate him.
But it's already published. You can already go out and find it. This just makes it that much easier. So if you know the police officer's name, there are plenty of services out there where you can find all sorts of information that is already public information. We're in that world today, where if somebody wants to do something bad to you, chances are they're going to be able to do it. 8:40, let's wrap it up and tell you, we'll break and get back and tell you where we are currently on this Buffalo Bills, Cincinnati Bengals situation. One of the things that I thought was unbelievable that came out of last night, and you tell me what you think, 315-736-0186, was the way the fans in Cincinnati acted, the way the players from Cincinnati acted. I just thought it was an amazing display of decency last night. And while this was a horrific way to start 2023, seeing the compassion out there and the respect out of football fans and football players and people around the country was pretty amazing to see.
It was.
Makes you think that maybe there's hope after all. 8:41, we'll break and come right back at WIBX.
Visit Munson Williams and be inspired by the special exhibition Leslie Dill, Wilderness, Light Sizzles Around Me. Walk among larger-than-life sculptures of American visionaries, including Sojourner Truth, Emily Dickinson, and others. Wilderness, Light Sizzles Around Me is an enchanting experience for all ages. See it before it closes January 29th. As always, admission to the museum is free. Wilderness, Light Sizzles Around Me at Munson Williams is made possible by Stephen and Dorian Critelli in honor of Dolores Y. Critelli and Alan and Linda Vincent.
How long does it take to tackle a home project? With Angie, you could cross it off your list before this ad is over. Just tell us what you need, indoor or outdoor, repair or redesign, and we handle the rest, sending a top pro to get it done. You don't have to lift a finger, except to tap the screen or click the mouse. Plus, Angie is free to use. So bring us your next home project, and we'll bring it home. Download the app or go to Angie.com. That's ANGI.com to get started.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Changing your oil. You know, an oil change is a great way to get more MPGs. Right now, you can enter for a daily chance to win a $200 AutoZone gift card when you buy 5 quarts of Mobil 1 Full Synthetic and an STP Extended Life oil filter for only $38.99. Get the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
No purchase required.
Hey, I want to talk about the fastest growing real estate company in Central New York for 2023. It is all about the services they provide. That's why they grow. It's River Hills Properties. And Bill and Robin Monjo, they knew from the very beginning if they offered services that other agencies don't offer, that would make all the difference in the world. And it has. You know the lockbox. It's like a big giant padlock that they put on your doorknob. And inside is the key to your home. So the real estate agent comes in, who has never been in your house at all ever before, with a prospective buyer. And they type in the code, they pull out the key, they open your door, they come in. Now they walk through the house. They have to turn the lights on, find their way through the house. I think the paperwork says the kitchen is over here. It says here, I think the kitchen was remodeled in, let me see. I mean, that's what it's like walking through with an agent who's never been in your home before. But at River Hills, your listing agent who knows your house inside and out, who knows all the attributes of the home, everything that is needed to be known and can answer every question, your listing agent opens that door. Don't wait for the lockbox. Your listing agent opens the door. Have you ever tried to ask a lockbox a question? Crickets. The thing cannot answer you. But your listing agent can. What an attribute. What a plus, a bonus to relieve stress and speed up the process in selling your home. Why wouldn't you list with River Hills Properties? In Barnaville, Little Falls, Utica, online, it's riverhillspropertiesllc.com. That's riverhillspropertiesllc.com. Call 315-896-1009. You know, I haven't talked for 3 hours in almost 2 weeks. I'm having a tough time getting through it today. It's amazing. The only thing not growing here, River Hills is growing. My voice is going in the wrong direction. River Hills Properties, all of upstate New York. Call today and list with River Hills.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
All right, it's 8:45. Andrew, stand by. I'm coming right to you. Oh, wait a minute. Is this Andrew from River Hills Properties? Hello, Andrew.
Yes, it is.
Hello,
yes, it is.
Andrew.
Good morning.
All right, stand by. We'll be right with you.
Sorry, we're out of time. We got a spot for you tomorrow.
Talk to you later. Okay. Hold on a second.
All right, so I want to share this here. This just came to my attention. So Damar Hamlin, of course, is the name of the Buffalo Bill player who was injured. Had
Who
a
you
cardiac...
never even knew prior to
Correct.
last night.
They had to administer CPR to him on the field. This is, if there's a silver lining here, when you talk about restoring your faith in people.
Are you looking at his GoFundMe?
Yeah.
I don't want to, I'll let you break the news. This thing was at $2,500 at game time last night, and it was over.
So this is, DeMar had set up a GoFundMe. Toy drive. Kelly and Nina's Daycare Center at Russellwood Avenue in Pennsylvania.
Raised $2,500, was very successful. After this thing happened, fans began searching for his charity. And what happened, Jeff?
He's over $3.4 million.
It was almost to $2 million by midnight last night.
It's incredible. And when you go to GoFundMe, you can see the list of donations. And, I mean, the donations continue to pour in. I just pulled it up now. I mean, there are dozens, hundreds of donations from 5 minutes ago, 8 minutes ago, 2 hours ago, 4 hours ago.
When I tuned in, I logged into it this morning at like 4:30, and it had just topped $3 million. And now $500,000 has come in since this morning.
That's incredible. That is a beautiful thing. I tell you what, though.
I'm glad you pulled that up.
That daycare center in Pennsylvania is going to have a hell of a
Wow.
Christmas.
Well, my guess is that he probably can use that funding for other toy drives and that sort of thing. I don't know. Let's hope he's around to do that, right?
Absolutely.
Our Andrew, formerly with us, no longer with us. He's now a foreigner to us. Andrew Dominio on the line right now. Good morning.
Good morning. You know, that was very jarring. I was actually with Bill and Robin and my family for a dinner last night when this took place, and it was kind of scary to see. You know, we're in a restaurant, we see all the players huddled around Damar Hamlin, and you know, we weren't really knowing what was going on until after we left. And then, you know, watching the coverage afterward, it was just really crazy because, you know, it definitely, as the announcers and everything was saying last night, is an unprecedented injury to the fact that, you know, they canceled the game, as they should have. But it was reminiscent, too, that it was Bills-Bengals. There's a charitable relationship there in that, if you remember, when the Bills finally made the playoffs, it was, I believe, the Bills fans donating over $250,000 to Andy Dalton's charity.
I remember that.
After he saved the season, right? So now I think that, there's almost a mutual respect for these two teams who, this season have had very good seasons and are really battling on the gridiron, so to speak, that now they're coming together once again, for a great cause. And, it was just really scary to watch yesterday, but it was really reminiscent of, how two teams, you can forget about, what football in the moment is about and then recognize, the greater picture here, that these two teams have had a history, but in a positive way as well. And I think that definitely carried over last night when you saw a lot of the fans, Bengals fans as well.
What was the reason
after the game?
What was the reason when Dalton, was he injured? What happened there? I forgot what the.
No, so basically the Andy and Jordan Dalton Foundation got the donations because with the Bills eating
their win, they
Andy
won,
Dalton.
which meant the Bills were going to
the playoffs.
Yes.
Yeah, after like 17 years or something like that.
Yes, I remember that. Yep, that was really.
But
that's a different yes. Sorry.
But it looks like, I'm sure you've talked about this, but I mean, the reports are saying now that while he's still in critical condition, at least they were able to get him to the right place at the right time with the proximity of the hospital to the stadium.
Listen to this, Andrew. We learned this morning that Dr. Hall used to work at that. He did his residency at that hospital, and he used to work there.
Oh, my gosh.
At that hospital. Yeah.
And he was in the ER. He was an ER doctor,
yeah,
right?
He was in
trauma doctor.
Yep. So that's an interesting local tie to that whole thing. But, yeah, I mean, and the other part is watching what they did with the GoFundMe. Yes, exactly right. It's almost a relationship between the fans here, which is kind of interesting. But beyond that, how respectful the fans were last night. The world just stopped last night. It was unbelievable.
And then there's always one, right? So if you saw Skip Bayless, who's who does the First Take show on another network, he was with Stephen A. Smith
an absolute
on ESPN
clown
for a while.
who just says anything to get clicks and
he was all over Twitter last night. People were ripping on him.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Why? What did he say? Tell everybody what he said.
Well, I don't have it up on me basically now, but basically I'm paraphrasing. He said, the NFL is really considering postponing this game this late in the season. How do they do that? And then he just briefly mentioned the injury. He didn't even mention Hamlin's name. So, I mean, it was seconds that he was just shredded.
I would say this, that if you want to be that person, what you could say is, if this had a different scenario, if it wasn't done right on the field, no matter how those players were feeling, the game would have gone on. It's all about optics, and I do believe that's true. I think that because there have been deaths in other scenarios, in other situations, and terrible injuries in other situations, but the fact that it unraveled the way it did live on television, live in front of the players, live in front of the fans, and it was extended and continued, and they were literally using CPR to bring him back to life. And then the reaction of the players, there was just no way they could go on and play that game. I don't see how they could do it.
No, and especially, you could argue with the gravity of the game, it being such an important game to those two teams prior to the injury or to the event, the emotion of that alone, and then combined with that, I just don't see how they would have been able to do it.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Andrew, good stuff. Thanks, man.
Hey, you all have a good one, and, definitely, praying for Hamlin and his family today, but I'm optimistic. Hopefully he's under good care, and he'll make a recovery, and the Bills will continue to do well this season.
I want to say just that my concern is that we've heard so little is, to me, worrisome. At this point, it's almost 9 o'clock, and there's no positive news to share. They can't find something positive to share. I mean, that to me is a little worrisome, I'm afraid. But hopefully I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
No, I think you're absolutely right. It's kind of been the thing that's not been acknowledged, that no news in this case is probably bad news.
Correct. Yeah. All right, Andrew. Thanks, man.
Yep. Have a good morning.
Take care, buddy.
Play you. Go ahead.
Skip Bayless here. The tweet that got quite a bit of reaction, and let me read this to you, and it'll be in my tone and inflection. I don't know what he intended, but I'm going to read this to you, and you tell me if this was worth the backlash. No doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of this game, but how? This late in the season, a game of this magnitude is crucial to the regular season outcome, ellipsis, which suddenly seems so irrelevant. Look, unprecedented. I think in the moment, when they were talking about possibly canceling the game or postponing the game, my first thought was, and again, keep in mind, I mentioned this earlier, I ran to get food as this pause was happening.
Even if you were there, you didn't realize it was as bad as it was.
Correct.
No one realized. Everybody was kind of walking around.
The Bills had a guy who was paralyzed, got carted off the field. They played the game. I didn't know this was a life and death situation, but in the moment, I don't think it was unheard of for someone to go, yeah, but they're still going to play.
Right.
And I understand all the emotion and why they didn't play it. That's not what I'm saying.
There came a point, though, where you said there's no way they can play this game.
Yeah, and Twitter, tore him apart, really.
Yeah.
I would almost be surprised with this backlash if there isn't some action taken by ESPN. Just because people are so outraged at him that they want him fired that they almost have to do something to him. Otherwise, people will be mad at ESPN.
He don't work at ESPN anymore.
Well, whatever it is.
He
What
works
does he
at
do?
FS1.
FS1, excuse me. Yes. Big network, sorry.
All right.
He used to be ESPN for 100 years, but now he's at FS1 with the former Broncos tight end.
Yeah, dial up Shannon Sharp.
Shannon Sharp.
Think about how Mike says. Think about how the Bengals player feels who actually hit him. Yeah, he's been all over. He came out very early and was making a statement. It wasn't a hard hit, though. I mean,
no,
it seemed routine.
It really did.
But yeah, I can't imagine how he feels. And watching, watching the players, Bills and Bengals players, this is it's like anything else. You think about how much they hate each other, but what's the Bengals quarterback
Joe Burrow,
Burrow and Josh Allen trained together this summer. So it's like you'll find people. This player played with that player back in college, or they played on the same team, or who knows what. In some cases, they played in high school, or they were crosstown rivals. You see a lot of relationships in the NFL, and boy, it really came to light last night.
Absolutely.
And then there was just the player who just felt for the other team and the other player because they could be one of their players. It could be them. Right? Joe Lode, I'll give you the final word here, Joe. Good morning.
Well, hi, good morning, Bill. I was watching the game last night as it unfolded, obviously. And when it happened, I knew it was either two things. Either he had an aneurysm
That's what I thought,
or a widowmaker. There was no way that hit caused that injury or that thing to happen. It was just that was the time that was going to happen, I think.
And that's where you mentioned the widowmaker. I guess I've heard it called that before, but that is like that there was a massive heart attack. But he's so young, 24 years old.
Well, Bill, there's people that runners their entire life and have heart attacks that fall dead in the best health of they can be. And then there's fat people like me that just go around every day and, we're fine.
Yeah.
You never know.
You don't know.
I think it's your body chemistry,
And again, we don't know, but I was talking to Hauk last night, who worked for the Utica Police Department for many years. He's seen many horrible things, and he talked about situations where if somebody's in an accident, the right hit at the right kind of angle, basically you can tear a muscle around the heart or a valve around the heart. Again, I'm not a doctor, but I have heard of these things before where the impact of an accident, even though somebody wasn't when you had something go through your body, they weren't impaled or they didn't suffer a horrible injury, but just that force, that pressure on the chest can lead to a tear or a tweak that leads to something ripping, and who knows from
eventually
there.
we're going to find out, right?
We will find out.
All right, Joe, thanks, man.
You got it. Have a great day, guys.
You do the same. And we're back here tomorrow morning. Oh, you want me to keep going?
No, we can go to the top. I was just going to say, to follow up on your point, we are approaching 9 o'clock here, and from the NFL, there is no update here.
Yeah,
There's
I worry that so then what do you do, right? then when do you play this game? Then when has it been long enough to let, and I'm saying if this ends up being a bad outcome, which obviously it already is, then at what point do you, there's a lot here. And I think you're correct in that no matter what the decision is by the NFL on this, they're going to get massive criticism, most likely.
Jordan Rooney, who is the CEO of Jaster Athletes, it's a brand for NCAA players. This was 10 hours ago. Update on DeMar. His vitals are back to normal. They've put him to sleep to put in a breathing tube down his throat. They're currently running tests, but again, that was 10 hours ago.
That's what they were saying last night. Yeah. Gotta go. We're back here tomorrow morning. Let's hope the best for him today. WIBX Utica Rome.
He's in a medically induced coma. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. An NFL player injured during Monday Night Football. Damar Hamlin collapsed on the field moments after getting up from tackling a Cincinnati Bengal.
The Buffalo Bills tweeted out, Damar Hamlin suffered a cardiac arrest following a hit in our game versus the Bengals. His heartbeat was restored on the field, and he was transferred to the UC Medical Center for further testing and treatment. He is currently sedated and listed in critical condition.
Fox's Garrett Tenney.
The game has been indefinitely postponed. Fans gathered outside of the hospital overnight, some of them holding candles, and the entire sporting world is offering their thoughts and prayers for Damar Hamlin and his family.
The new Congress gets to work today, but Republicans, now in control of the House, cannot agree on who should be Speaker. Most support Kevin McCarthy. Some don't or aren't sure, like Congressman Scott Perry, who tells Fox.
Kevin has been in leadership for 14 years, and nobody came to this town saying, well, Washington is doing great. We don't want to change anything.
If McCarthy or someone else does not get enough votes to become Speaker, the House cannot conduct business. Members can't even be sworn in, including Congressman-elect John James, who tells Fox.
We squandered a majority in 2016, and because we couldn't figure our stuff out, we ended up handing the gavels back to Democrats in 2018. We need to work together. We need to figure this out.
Brian Kohberger is due in court this afternoon.
The 28-year-old is expected to waive his extradition today and will then be taken by U.S. Marshals back to Moscow, Idaho, returning to the city where police say he stabbed 4 University of Idaho students to death inside of their off-campus home back in November. Then detectives say he drove off from the scene. Kohberger was a student at Washington State. That's only about a 10-minute drive from that crime scene.
Fox's Alexis McAdams outside the court in Pennsylvania. In New York City today, Frank James expected to plead guilty to charges from last year's subway attack that left 10 people injured. America's listening to Fox